morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Oseto. President William Ruto bid farewell to outgoing United States Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman, who announced her resignation following Donald Trump's election as president. Whitman, who served as the US ambassador to Kenya for 2 years, revealed in a statement to newsrooms that she had submitted her resignation to President Joe Biden. Her departure came amid a backlash from a section of Kenyans who had called for her recall to Washington, citing her handling of various issues including perceived silence on corruption, extrajudicial killings and abductions. The criticism intensified after the June Gen Z movement protest, during which dozens were killed by police and many others were arrested. In a statement, Whitman highlighted a role in facilitating President Ruto's recent US state visit among key successes. Now, 16 people were Tuesday evening injured following a fire incident at Kitui village in Majengo, Nairobi. The Red Cross said in an update dozens of households were affected by the inferno. The news broke even as heavy rains were pounding Nairobi and its environs. The weatherman in a 7-day forecast published Monday says many parts of the country would experience rains. He said the rains would be heavy in some parts, ranging between 20 to 50 millimeters. The religious leaders have continued to support the Catholic bishop's statement last week, calling out President William Ruto's administration for what they described as a culture of lies. Bishop Isaka Wairimu, who's the chairperson of the Western religious leaders, warned politicians against taking their advice or warnings lightly.
There are standards God has set and they cannot be compromised. And if anybody thinks that they can because of 1, 2, 3 position, they are deluded. That is a delusion, that is a lie. And the consequences could be so dire. Repercussions could be unbecoming. And I agree with what they have said. But if those men makes true their saying, we will have a story to tell in Kenya, because God will back them up. And church is not desperate. No. Church we can do with the little we have without any money from a politician.
These as Pentecostal churches threw their weight behind the Catholic bishops, urging President Ruto to fulfill his campaign promises. The bishops, reverends, pastors and evangelists noted with concern that Kenyans are still facing many challenges that require urgent attention by the state. This coming after the Catholic Archdiocese of Nairobi declined a donation of 2.6 million shillings from President Ruto, citing ethical considerations. The church also announced its intention to return Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja's donation of 200,000 shillings. Meanwhile, State House says President Ruto is yet to receive the refund. The impasse between senators and MPs over revenue sharing may continue for some time after members of the National Assembly's Finance Committee continue to defend their position of giving counties 380 billion shillings instead of 400 billion shillings. The committee's deputy chairperson, Mary Amasa, said their stance stems from the repeal of the 2024 finance bill, which contained proposals on how to increase the amount of revenue collected. She says after the repeal of the bill, the government had no choice but to reduce the county budget by about 20 billion shillings to match the estimated revenue collected using the 2023 finance bill.
Sasa unajua, baada ya finance bill kuanguka, ilibidi lazima budget committee turudi tuangalie budget upya. Sasa unajua zile mpango serikali ilikuwa nayo ya kutafuta pesa mingi sasa zilianguka baada ya finance bill kuenda. Hiyo kumaanisha sasa ile projections and estimate ambayo tulikuwa tumepangia ya kwamba serikali itakuwa na uwezo wa kuokota pesa fulani, sasa haiwezekani. Kwa hivyo ilibidi kila ministry pesa yao ilipunguzwa. Hata bunge pesa yetu ilipunguzwa na bilioni karibu 10. Kila sekta pesa ilipunguzwa. Vile county pia ilikuwa lazima pesa ipunguzwe ndio budget iweze kutoshea. Kwa hivyo ndio unaona hiyo proposal ya kwenda county ilirudi chini to 385. Sio ile 400 billion vile tulikuwa tumependekeza hapo awali kabla finance bill kuanguka.
She urged senators and governors to accept the allocation to allow funds be sent to counties to carry out various activities including development development.
Tukubali kugawanya ile kidogo ambao imebaki, kwa sababu county governments wakinsist wanataka ile kigao yao ikue bilioni hiyo 400. Kuna njia mbili, wanajaribu kusema serikali iendelee kukopa, ama wanajaribu kusema serikali iongeze tax, iongeze ushuru tena. Sisi tumesema tuwezi ongezea wananchi wa Kenya ushuru tena. Ile pesa ambao ilipatikana ile baada ya sisi kurudi kukarabati bajeti, kupunguza hapa na pale, tugawanye hiyo kwanza, kasi endelee, waendelee kutoa huduma kwa wananchi wa county.
This is News. I'm Dennis Aseta. Good morning.
.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanya.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to, she's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, you know, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
One of the things that are ailing our country is negative ethnicity. You find you as a state officer, instead of thinking as a Kenyan, you think like a tribal person.
Let me tell you something. The biggest problem we have had in this country is a leadership deficit. There is nothing that you are going to do in the process of change if you are not a risk taker. So you really have to pursue your vision to a logical conclusion and even be ready to step on people's toes.
When it comes to the economy, you can't run away with it. They say statistics are like bikinis. They reveal a lot, but they conceal the vitals. And so government people would throw statistics at you and tell you they're revealing a lot of information to you, but it's really concealing the real vitals.
We need to get out of that, because when we want to grow our democracy, one basic thing that really requires to be understood by the political class, by all of us, is institutions are critical.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin there, ayu markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. You know, sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. You know, because Adam messed up and he was told, no, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
3, 2.
Everybody, welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation.
Heri Latifa, Muga, Madam Du, nimesalamia wote sana.
Tumepokea salamu, asante sana.
Hapa Garissa today the weather is very good, only that baridi inatupeleka mbio sana.
Sasa baridi ni degree ngapi hapa?
Hata sijui, lakini madam tunakauka sana.
If you want to follow the money trail, you've got to think like a thief to be able to catch that thief.
A slap from a friend is better than a kiss from an enemy. You remember the kiss of Judas Iscariot? Iscariot.
Yes.
Is the one that imetuweka kwa hii mashida yote na mataabu kwa sababu of that kiss. Yet the slap of Jesus Christ, when he slapped those guys wenye walikuwa wanauza mboga ndani ya kanisa, took them to heaven.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All of a sudden, it's a rainy Wednesday morning. Let's take a look at what's happening on these streets. And when it rains, people scatter like rats off a ship. There's very little happening in terms of traffic. People are moving or have already gotten where they need to go this morning, but it's likely to pack up later, especially now that we're afraid of the rain. A little bit of traffic right around the Pangani underpass is what we're looking at this morning. And coming off of Westlands, let's look at James Gishoro real quick, and that's flowing free, not a problem. Waiakiwe is looking good getting into the city via Chiromo. And coming off Landis, you'll find just a little bit of traffic right around the Kamkunji roundabout as folks get towards Wakulima. And on Mombasa Road, yes, there was some construction going on this morning. It's going to slow you down just a tad. There's no diversion, but the folks will be gone in a short while from what we're meant to understand. There's a little bit of traffic also on Outer Ring, also to be looked at in a bit. Talk to us as we start off Wednesday morning together. SpiceFM KE on X hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
City, what's the problem?
There is no problem. The problem is Ndu. It's a problem with her thumb.
What's her problem?
The problem is her thumb. You know this thing of being adventurous? Adventure caught up with her.
Well, it's not a lie. Flesh and blood have not revealed this to you. It's not a lie. My good Lord.
Ndu?
Yes, please.
Ati, what's up with your thumb?
I have a thorn in my thumb. Wallahi, it's not a lie. I have a thorn in my thumb.
Right.
There's a bee in your bonnet.
Exactly. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Eliza, dear Eliza. There's a hole in my bucket, dear Eliza, a hole. Then fix it, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. Then fix it, dear Henry.
What me to fix it?
So it needs surgery.
And I'll listen, with what shall I fix
it? With what shall I fix it, dear Eliza, dear Eliza? With what shall I fix it, dear Eliza? With what?
With a hose, dear Henry, dear Henry, dear Henry. With a hose, dear Henry, dear Henry. A hose.
I see you. I see you. No, this thing is.
Now, someone sang that thing the wrong way.
They did.
There's a hole in my butt. Cat. It rhymes.
Okay, sour.
One that goes into BUT and then goes like, same number of syllables.
Kit.
Butt cat.
Look, can we deal with my issue?
Yeah, you have a hole in your thumb.
No. Thorn in my thumb.
Ulitoa wapi mwiba kwa?
Oh, mwiba. I don't know.
How?
I just started feeling pain in my thumb, and then I looked, and then I press it, and it hurts, and then it's black. It's really, and I need to do something about it because I watched the video.
Just described it as black. You described it.
Yeah.
That's not a thorn.
It's a what?
Jigger.
Oh, stop it.
Most likely.
Stop it, both of you, right now. Because I have
Kuna
heebie-jeebies about these things.
Kuni.
What?
Kuna mahali ulikuwa unaenda kukata kuni.
You know this thing of, camping, adventure, hot dog cooking, using wood for fire, that sort of thing.
No.
Suffering and then pretending you're having
Why are you playing with wood?
Good morning, Eric and Titi. How are you doing this morning?
Fine, thank you, too.
Lydia, good morning. Let's just keep the conversation moving real quick. We can deal with surgical issues later because where this conversation is going, there's a hole and there's a rabbit and we are chasing it very fast. So keep it moving.
Are you well?
I am all right.
But your thumb isn't. Okay. Karibu sana kila mtu. Welcome to the Situation Room on this 20th day of November 2024. It's Wednesday, it's a lovely day, and we're going to be having some lovely conversations. So, for example, let's start with 8 a.m. We will be joined by the chairman of the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, all right? Now, this brings together the mainstream
churches?
No, the other one. Protestant churches. Yes, that's the word I was looking for.
Okay.
The mainstream Protestant churches in the country, all together in the NCCK, and they released a statement yesterday. They said, enough is enough. So why is the church raising its voice right now? The Reverend Dr. Elias Otieno Agola is the chairman of NCCK. He comes at 8 a.m. At 9 o'clock, defending the Constitution through active citizenry, we'll be joined by Hussein Khalid. He's the CEO of Vocal Africa and a nominee of the Human Rights Defender Awards 2024. Remember, they're coming up next month. Is it next month or next week?
It's November. It's next week. November 29th.
Next week, Friday. The Human Rights Defender Awards 2024. One of the nominees is Hussein Khalid, and he will be here. We'll be talking about the work that he's been doing all along. And then at 7 o'clock, we'll talk about wealth. It's Wealth Wednesdays with Standard Chartered Bank. Children education is what we'll be discussing today. And we'll be joined by Edith Chumba. She is the head of wealth.
I'm telling you.
Can you imagine?
What's the title?
Imagine you're asking your children asking, what do you do? I'm head of wealth at Standard Chartered Bank. Hey. She's the head of wealth and retail banking at Kenya and East Africa at Standard Chartered Bank. And she will be here alongside the head of affluent banking and wealth management products, Kenya and East Africa. His name is Paul Jockey. They will be here at what time? 7 a.m. Yes, hiyo ndio maneno tutakayojadili siku ya leo. That thing has actually just been talking about. There was a beautiful ad that was done by Air Kenya a couple of years back, right?
Air Kenya.
Yes. So the ad goes, the kid is asking his father, Dad, what do you do for a job? Oh, and the man is so happy that the son could ask, like, I was waiting for this question. It's like, oh, I'm a judge at the High Court, my son. And the boy's like, Andrew's father is a pilot with Air Kenya. He gets to fly 6 times daily to the Mara. I don't know how many times to Samburu, how many times to Diani, and how many times to Malindi every day. I want to be a pilot when I grow up so I can work with Air Kenya.
Wow.
Beautiful. This mzee with his judge of the high court.
They got it.
What's that? Okay, so tell us about the weather, Sinio. And then we do like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and we shall bring you a doctor to sort out your...
That would be awesome.
...thumb issues.
Then you should, after I'm healed, you take me for ice cream.
Sawa.
It will never end until the ice cream is eaten.
Unajua hajui ice cream.
Until that ice cream is in my mouth, I will not rest.
You know there's yogurt.
Ataki
yogurt. 19 minutes after 6.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Positive for our planet, profitable for you. Access sustainable investment funds and green bonds with Standard Chartered Priority Banking. Their expertise will help you invest towards a sustainable future. Achieve your goals with Standard Chartered's expertise. Email prioritybanking.ke@sc.com today.
The weather with SpiceFM.
Rainy conditions in Nairobi this morning at 16 degrees. We'll see highs of 24 and highs of 25 in a mostly cloudy. Nakuru at 15. Cloudy at 14 in Nyeri with highs of 23, and we'll see highs of 24 in a mostly clear Eldoret this morning. 26, and we'll see sunny conditions for most parts of Wednesday in Mombasa, going to highs of 32, and we'll see highs of 32 as well in Malindi. It's cloudy at 20 in Kisumu with highs of 29, while at 18 it's cloudy in Kakamega with highs of 28. Kampala is cloudy at 20 with highs of 26. While it will be sunny through the day in Dar es Salaam, currently at 26, going to highs of 30. It's mostly sunny in Johannesburg at 16, highs of 29, while Mogadishu will be sunny at 27, currently going to highs of 31. Cloudy at 12 in Addis Ababa with highs of 22 and lows of 10, while it's clear in Lagos at 26. We'll see highs of 33. 32 will be the high in a mostly clear Kinshasa at 24. Wednesday afternoon is sunny at 12 in Beijing, highs of 14 and lows of 3. Temperatures dipping in Western Europe, it's 4 degrees and partly cloudy. In Paris with highs of 7 and lows of 1, and we'll see highs of 6 and lows of -1 in London, where it's partly cloudy, currently at 1 degree. New York at 12 degrees, it's cloudy. Tuesday night coming into Wednesday, highs of 16 and lows of 11.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
21 minutes after 6.
Don Sabwa, good morning. How are you? I need to come and see you for my glasses, Don. So let's just say it in public so that you pick my call.
Okay.
Good morning to Eric and CT. Desmond Otis says, Hamjambo Team Spice, it's now believed that the Catholic Church is spiritually guided, and they don't just salivate for impure offerings. And then has gone on to call me Ndu Achieng Akinyi. My goodness. All right. Good morning. It's not me who said it, CT. It's him. It's here for real. Linus Gitonga says good morning. James Nganga says good morning, Kenyans. Good morning, Kenya, says Jimmy Gakio. Nyadi Chukunzira says good morning from Doha. In the next coming government, he has seen things. CT will be the senior general advisor. Lydiah would be the CSICT. Eric would be the government spokesperson. And Ndu would be the CS education. Okay. Margaret Wajohi says good morning, tuned in from Houston, Texas. Let's continue the great conversations indeed. Onganyi Malala says good morning. Bwakire says Agri Momanyi, the church doing the Lord's work, literally. Between the clergy, I forgot the Adani deal, says Jimmy. Patrick Musembe is greeting us. He says, we love you big. And he says, Monrovia to Kochonjo. Pap D says, Ndu, tell CT, dogs assume any moving object is a potential mate. Hence the reason why dogs chase a car the same way men chase women they desire.
Okay.
I was rich, but okay.
Okay.
Vostika, someone says, good morning, Spice. Good morning, Team Spice. Princess Ndu Kuria said Catholic bishops are always right. All right, we agree. JB Mutua is tuned in this morning from New Jersey. Ali Ado says, good morning from County, the Blue Economy Zone, that's 001. Thueta Jogona says, good morning, everybody. My prince, he says, Dr. Kiza Besige was kidnapped again. Okay, this man, he walks, they nab him, he did everything.
He was in Nairobi, apparently.
Yeah, he was. He was nabbed here. Yes.
That's what it said.
It said while he was attending the book launch of Martha Karua.
He was preparing.
He was preparing to attend the book launch, and he was nabbed.
Yeah. But the same
he was kidnapped. He was Besige nabbed. Sorry?
But the same nabbers who be nabbing people.
The people who want a nab. Jeffrey Mogaka says good morning to everybody. He says a thing or two about the president. Zachary Odeo says good morning from Voi. Do you know that Frank from Radio Maisha is from Voi over there?
Ala.
Hello.
Yeah, ni kutoka Voi pale.
Hello, Princess Indra. Good morning to you. Eric, CT, Ednah, Lydiah. Now that the new KPIs have been signed by the State House government spokespersons, give the review of the previous KPIs. I made stories a job, but well, you know. Vesh Musanga says, good morning. May God save us all. Indeed. Tibbs Muga says, thanks to Watangula, SGR train stocks are about to go through the roof. Really? Calvin Monday says, good morning. Good morning. Looking forward to a great conversation, says Teresia Moirori. Good morning to you. We see you, Musi Elswai, Dhaka Nyaikaro, Iowas, Eunice Okello, Eric War, Givinji Gatobu, Kisa Daniel, Nick Bala, Precious Gondi, Rakim Magada. We see you. Iregi Wanjohi, good morning. We love you too. Yes, the finger will be sorted. Cinder Eric.
Yeah.
It will be sorted. And somebody says you're naughty, Eric. Somebody said, not me.
Amejuaje.
Wamesema niliguza mrima.
And that person is called Weed.
Yeah, the person who says you're naughty is called Weed. Eric, what is the most musical part of a chicken? Let's end it there.
Musical.
Sijui mali haya maneno haya si mageni jijini ila kwa mgeni jijini. Siti, give us the proverb tafadhali.
In 1966, something interesting happened in Burundi.
Yeah.
The monarchy ceased to be.
The monarchy of Burundi?
Yes, because it was overthrown.
All
and
right.
a one-party state came into being.
Mm-hmm.
And for 27 years, it was ruled by successive individuals who exercised supreme power. The English language refers to them as dictators. And what followed in 1972 was a genocide. And the people who were in this genocide, who suffered the brunt of it, were the Hutu population of Burundi. Tragic history of our country. Tragic history. Anyway, there was then 12-year civil war followed, and it came to an end with the Arusha Accord or the Arusha Agreement. The history of this planet of ours, the history of this continent of ours. Anyway, I'm torn between two proverbs. Let me go with one which has more hope. Hope does not have to be based on tangible things.
Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
Yes.
Very good. Very good. Okay, Ndu.
Yes.
Headlines.
No holds barred is what's on the front page of the Standard. Nairobi Archbishop Philip Anyolo's rejection of more than 5 million shillings President William Ruto donated to the Soweto Catholic Church did not surprise those who know him. He once rejected a 4 million shillings car from Ruto because he did not know the motive. His smile and calm nature hide the character of a tough cleric guided by principles. So it continues. Look at the details of that story. I'm just going to read his quote. He said, the church is called to uphold integrity by refusing contributions that may inadvertently compromise its independence or facilitate unjust enrichment. Political leaders are urged to demonstrate ethical leadership by addressing the pressing issues raised. Deal with the issues, essentially, is what we are being told. Learners stare at bleak future as strike rages on. The university's academic staff union have said, what? Sorry. We're still what? We have only worked when? Today.
Ooh.
State promises 21,000 new overseas jobs. 21,000. You can get it. Latiff, they're still asking you to answer the most musical part of a chicken, so you might want to think about that.
Okay.
Ruto to cabinet, deliver or get out. Okay, he didn't say that. He said deliver or pack your bags. Get out is mine. Kenyans are voicing the reservations on the bill during public participation. And guess what the major sentiment is? Amend the tax bill to tame the cost of living. It is too high.
Okay.
Ukraine firm in the face of Russian nuclear threat. It's interesting because President-elect Donald Trump has said, you know what we're going to do when we come in January? We're going to end this thing. This war between the two of you. Come on, guys. It's a little too, long in the game.
Keep funding the Ukrainians. Where is the money going?
You wonder.
Okay.
On the front page of The Nation, things fall apart, the center cannot hold. Things fall apart is on the front page of The Nation. Just over 2 years into his tenure, President William Ruto is confronted with major crises affecting key sectors, with 47 counties threatening to shut down their operations, citing a cash crunch. Critical sectors of education and healthcare are also in limbo, following an unending lecturer strike that has paralyzed learning in public universities, as well as the chaos in the new social health authority that has left patients stranded in hospitals. When it rains, it pours. More university inside multi-million shilling deals that anti-graft agency is now investigating. While all of this is happening, the president read the Riot Act to his ministers and PSs. He made his remarks during the signing of performance contracts by cabinet secretaries, principal secretaries, and senior government officials yesterday at State House, Nairobi. Dr. Ruto directed them to deliver on their mandate without delays and excuses. Why Gachagua allies are avoiding all-out war against Kindiki. Tena.
Mm-hmm.
On the back page is the issue about Moi University.
Yeah.
And the Auditor General is now auditing public universities, and she said that they've lost 14 billion shillings through waste and graft.
Where? City?
Yes, please.
Have they brought the star?
No,
Not
they
yet.
haven't, but that doesn't mean that I cannot look it up. Why don't we continue as I look up the star?
All right. Let me tell you what's on the front page of the Business Daily. Homes and churches overtake banks in T-bill holdings. Hii kanisa inakataa kuchukua pesa ya serikali. Inapatia serikali pesa. Are we together? A segment of investors, including households, NGOs and churches, have for the first time overtaken banks on holding of treasury bills, riding on higher returns and changes that allowed purchase of government paper via mobile phones. Fresh central bank data shows that the bank's share of Kenya's 615.8 billion shilling T-bills stood at 33.8% in June from 42.8%, allowing the segment of investors labelled as others, that's investors, to overtake the lenders with a 56.2%. CBK refers to the class of investors, which includes parastatals and SACCOs, as others because it has small relative. It's been small relative to the bank's insurance and pension schemes. This time, others is bigger than those banks and insurance and pension schemes. NYS comes suspect fails to reverse seizure of 35 million shillings. Where? The Court of Appeal has rejected a new evidence from a man that the Assets Recovery Agency says received more than 1 billion shillings from NYS without making any supplies to the agency. 1 billion bob.
He received and didn't supply.
That's what the ARA is saying. James Doit Derito claimed that he had stumbled on new evidence while moving office, and which was not available when the High Court ordered that he forfeit 35 million shillings to the state. They say he received 1 billion shillings, but they're only telling him return 35 million. That's what we found.
Why? So 965 million.
Went with the river. He told the court that the evidence, which includes invoices, contracts, delivery notes, importation documents, and other business transaction records, would have shown that he made supplies to NYS, but they were not available before and only got them while relocating from his business offices. So basically, he was taken to the High Court, okay? At that time in the High Court, he was asked, do you have any receipt? Your Honor, my Lord. Do you have an invoice? My Lord, my Lord. The court said 35 million shillings is what ARA has found. Forfeit it. Then he went to the Court of Appeal. He said, by the way, I was moving office, okay? Now, when I was relocating from this office to the other, in the process of packing things and moving them, I found the receipts.
His receipts were manual receipts.
And I found the invoices.
Okay, they're also manual.
And I found the import documents that show that actually I got an invoice. I invoiced NYS, and this is how I got the money.
And they're all manual.
Yeah. The Court of Appeal said, aye, boss. Si utuchukulie seriously hata sisi kidogo.
Ama unafikiria sisi hatuishi hii Kenya.
Derito Muriithi has written on the Business Daily today. He says CBK has moved to summon commercial bank CEOs to explain why they are lending at high rates is a red herring. Like, yeah, right. Yeah, right. And they have also a feature on page 19 of the Business Daily. Meet the first female urologist in Kenya.
I don't know why that's a thing. Men are gynecologists. Why can't women be urologists?
Well, yeah, but she's the first.
Yeah, she's the first. I think it's every time you're taken aback, like, oh, wait a minute, how?
First what?
Female urologist.
First?
Yeah. Isn't that weird?
No, it's very weird.
Yeah.
I assume there were many.
Yeah, exactly. I would imagine that they
she's
would.
actually quite young.
That's very
Treasury rules out extra 20 billion shillings for counties, but he has urged governors to accept the 380 as the shareable revenue, because this thing you guys are insisting on the extra 20 billion. Akuji. ABSA 9 months profit up 19.8%. Insurance regulator seeks to fast-track claims payment, and Kenya misses the 118 billion shilling EPZ export target. Haya. Umepata nini? Nikwambie mambo ya People Daily.
Endelea tu, but I have found it.
Okay. People Daily, how president's failed promises are haunting him. That's on page 3. front page, why bishops rejected Ruto cash. What's in the Star?
Well, in the Star has very many interesting stories. First of all, we are informed by people who overhear things, because it says a man serving a second term as MP was recently overheard. So what was it that was overheard? That he wants to enter the race for interior CS post. That's what was heard.
Kwani there's a race?
Yeah.
Yes, there's always a race. There's always a race. Then ODM warns against violence ahead of polls. The exercise, ODM themselves.
Or internal polls.
Yes. Yes, they were supposed to, the schedule for these polls was supposed to be April this year, but it was called off. So now we are waiting for it to be called on. So it was called off.
No,
all right. Now, there is a story by a certain gentleman called Gordon Noss, and he says poverty and employment turns youth into thieves. This point taken, yes, he is telling the truth. Okay? MPs bar CS PSC from picking varsity bosses. This ought to be a rich story, okay? MPs have said, you guys can't pick these people.
The PS and the CS?
Yeah, so who can pick them, all right?
The council.
All right, very good. Council, you've heard. You go ahead and pick these people. CS, PS, stay in your docket, stay in your lane. Families, this was a tragic thing that happened. Families left homeless after state demolishes 43 houses in Woodley. And then they list some of the well-known people who lived in that Woodley estate. Veterans. People whose names resonate with many things as far back as Uhuru. Okay? Now, rainfall, heavy rainfall to continue, just so that you know. This rainfall is going to continue.
Okay.
As La Nina downscale says forecasters. Okay? Brief news, the good, bad, and ugly at parastatals. This is a tiresome story. Very tiresome.
For real?
It's a tiresome story, man. One always hears it.
It's the same thing.
They are merging, they are selling, they are not selling, they are merging, they are leasing, they are not leasing.
It's good, bad, and it's ugly. Katika taifa leo hii leo, si banduki siasa, asema Waiguru. Gavana asema alenga juu baada ya kuondoka uongozi wa county. So she's saying, after being the chair of the COG, I am still focused on higher, bigger things. I've got a higher calling. Upinzani washinda Somaliland. There's been an election in Somaliland. Rais Abdi abwagwa na kinara wa upinzani Abdirahman Mohamed kura za urais. Somaliland has had an election.
That is a really good thing.
And the opposition boss has taken over. Mbadi akaidi Raila kuhusu pesa county. Awataka magavana wakubali mgao wa mapato wa bilioni 380 millions. Ndio si kuzuri lakini tutafaulu. That is President William Ruto. Rais Ruto ameungama hali nchini ni mbaya huku raia wakipitia hali ngumu kiuchumi. So he's saying, yeah, things are not okay, I agree. But you know what, we shall succeed. We shall succeed. Katikati mwa gazeti, kanisa la kataa vya haramu. Rais William Ruto anakabiliwa na upinzani mkali kutoka kwa viongozi wa kidini hivi kwamba sadaka yake inakataliwa, huku akikosolewa vikali na waliomuunga mkono wakati wa kampeni za mwaka 2022. Hivyo ndio mambo hivyo. 22 minutes to 7 Ndu.
Yeah.
You'll tell us about traffic.
Sawa.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
Want to build wealth that lasts? Join me, Ndu, alongside CT and Eric on The Situation Room every weekday for more information, and every Wednesday as we chat with experts from Standard Chartered Priority Banking, where you'll get a guide on how to grow your wealth today, tomorrow, and forever with investment options in Kenya shillings, US dollars, British pounds, and euro. Don't miss out. Get expert insight and take that first step by emailing prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. Achieve your goals with Standard Chartered's expertise. All right, so what's happening on the roads this morning is going to slow down just a little bit, of course, because the rain is coming down. Traffic is starting to build on Jogo Road. Now we see it a little bit more. But on the Thika Superhighway, you'll be fine. Just at the Pangani Tunnel is where it is. Waiyaki Way, free, clear still. Also coming in on Limuru Road and parts of Runda, and then out towards Buthaiga. Coming in also from Ruaka, no traffic. Free flow into the city. Uhuru Highway is also looking good, as is the Southern Bypass. So it's now that we are looking for traffic, but not seeing much of it, at least not for now. We're going to keep an eye on all of this and see how Wednesday actually progresses. How about we talk about what's going on in your neck of the woods and keep things moving this morning? SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
So we're going to talk about the church and what's happening with that come 8 a.m. But just looking at some headlines, the clergy turn up the heat amid debate on Ruto's rejected millions, and Yolo is principled, a man of the cloth and ready to turn down freebies. But there's a story at the bottom of that page. And the governors have told Mbadi, in no uncertain terms, stop lying about county disbursements.
Right.
Imagine.
Where's the lie exactly?
Because he said that they had sent money yesterday. Day before yesterday was Monday, in order for them to receive it Tuesday. According to them, kuna what? Controversy over disbursement of county allocations has deepened after the Council of Governments dismissed claims by Treasury Cabinet Secretary John Mbadi that all their dues have been released. Because he did say that without the most recent disbursement, everything would have been up to date, save for the current month, which is November.
Okay.
Now, governors are saying, ce n'est pas la vérité. The governors described Mbadi's claims as misleading and maintained that counties are still grappling with a biting cash crunch. COG Finance and Economic Planning Committee Chairman Fernandez Beraza said the counties are yet to receive September allocations. I want to tell Mbadi that you should stop misleading Kenyans. You know very well when money is released from the National Treasury to the County Revenue Fund through Central Bank of Kenya, and it takes a minimum of 2 weeks for counties to get money. So that Monday to Tuesday story is a what?
It's a lie.
It's all right.
Did he say that they had received the money? Did he say he had released the money?
He said he had released the money.
And what did Baraza just say?
He said it takes 2 weeks, and they know that.
And so if the money is released, there's 2 weeks to go. So once again, let me ask the question.
Where is the lie?
So their counties are telling Nani to stop lying.
So they're saying you stop lying because you are making it seem as if Umi to settle now how that
the lie may be in how it came out from Badi.
Yeah, it's as though everything is okay and you've received
but
money.
They already have money.
So we say they have money. The only thing that we've not settled them for is November.
Let me ask the question again. Where is the lie?
They don't have the money.
They don't have the money.
That's where the lie is.
They know full well when the money comes.
But why does it take 2 weeks though?
That's a good question.
Where is it going?
No.
So first of all, when it leaves the Treasury, it goes to the County Revenue Fund. But before it gets to the County Revenue Fund, it has passed where? Central Bank. Now in Central Bank, it does a thing, sits under the umbrella, puts its legs up, and then now makes its way.
There's control of budget in between there.
Sasa inaenda National Treasury, inaenda Central Bank, alafu inaenda County Revenue Fund.
And that's
before
where
sasa inaenda
that's where they draw the money from.
To different counties.
That is all right. So, why does it take 2 weeks?
I think it's you're assuming that it's electronic.
Let's even say it's not electronic, okay? They can hire Wells Fargo
surely
to carry that money into each county.
In a day, every county can have their money. Even if it's cash money they are carrying. 47 Wells Fargo vehicles zinapaki nje ya CBK. Pesa inawekwa kwa nini mfuko kama 5 hivi hizo kubwa. Weka kwa gari Garissa. Nani, Marsabit.
That whistling, I assume, is supposed to represent the speed with which the money
Yeah, Lamu, Kwale.
It is the sirens.
In fact, Nairobi, hata 5 minutes imefika. Hata mtu anaweza tembea.
Sakaja kuja chukua yake.
Bas. Unaona sasa? They can
all these neighboring counties, you can just come and collect.
Sure. Even Kajiado is here.
Machakos is here.
Machakos is here. Machakos ukiwa hivi. If you're in Machakos, you do like this, you see Makweni.
Even if the money is not here, has not been printed, okay? It can leave Germany where the printer is, land here, be picked up by G4S at the airport.
Before 6 o'clock the next morning.
2 weeks. For why?
Why 2 weeks? 2 weeks after we can deliver money to the world. What are you talking about?
Matters of money are a bit circumlocucious.
Yeah.
You know, central bank, for all you know, it has to go and come back several times before it is verified.
That the money has gone. The money doesn't like leaving central bank.
Mtu amesema wanaweza tuma M-Pesa. Unaona sasa? We have solutions.
Exactly.
Hey. Joking. Yeah. So Baraza said they're pushing for reforms in the Office of the Controller of Budget, saying money released to the County Revenue Fund must reflect within 48 hours and not 2 weeks.
Let's pause and ask the question, what does the Controller of Budget have to do with all this entire process? I'm asking because if there's a function that the Controller of Budget performs, because that article they're claiming that bottleneck is at the Controller of Budget also.
Because they're saying why it seems to be stuck at the COB. Why?
Yes. What does the Controller of Budget look for? What is it that she's doing? Is she asking questions? Is she seeking clarification? That other thing we told you to clarify, you have not clarified. But the truth is then, should you then not pay people who don't have issues?
Surely.
And the ones who have issues, if you ask me, this delay, this whole delay, everyone who's talking and asking about it knows exactly why there's a delay.
They know now. Come on.
They know.
They know.
They know what's happening. And they're not protesting correctly. Yes. They should tell us why they're protesting that we understand, but they know.
But you know, Buddy will keep quiet. You know that. He's not going to say anything because Nadra.
If there's evidence he has released the money, you know him, he's done. He's been released. Yeah. At the central banks, there's a guy called Thuge. Go and ask him.
Mimi siko kwa central bank.
Control of Budget. Because you don't know what's her name. Go and ask her. They have released. You know, these are independent officers. Are they not independent?
Yeah.
Yes. So, why are you coming to me?
Even though itakuwa
to receipts. Yeah. Show proof of payment. That is what we want to see from Buddy. Proof of payment.
Letter here.
Yes.
Right.
Yesterday was International Men's Day. Did you know?
I knew.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm very sorry. People don't be angry. In my heart, I celebrated you guys. I did.
We felt it.
You did? No. I celebrated you.
We felt it.
I even cooked on your behalf. It's just that the food has not reached.
We really felt it.
This habit of Seka watch,
you've not seen it. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, don't worry. You see reflections of my celebration.
Yesterday was also World Toilet Day.
Okay.
We're not connecting any.
Access to proper sanitation remains a critical challenge in Kenya, with residents of informal settlements bearing the brunt of this crisis. A population is growing, and the already densely populated areas, inadequate toilet facilities, and poor waste management systems continue to pose significant health risks. Now, this is something that, we just don't talk much about. If you think about the very many, let's just call them slums that we have in the urban areas of this country. Start with Nairobi. How many people live in these slum areas? Are those slum areas connected to the trunk sewer system? They're not.
No, they're not.
So it is what? It's pit latrines, and in some cases just garbage. Do you know what happens with those pit latrines? So someone it's a slumlord, they have a plot, some houses, they've got a pit latrine at the end. They have not even sunk it very deep. So it constantly gets full.
And if it rains?
It overflows. So it's constantly getting full. Now, you do not have the services of those big exhausters coming in. There's no way that those exhausters can come. Do you know what then happens? They have local exhauster system facilities. So there are people who come with a drum and a bucket. And their job is to dip the bucket, collect the waste, and put it into the drum. After that, they load the drum onto a mkokoteni, and then they push They pull the mkokoteni.
As it continues spilling as they're moving along.
As it goes. You know what those mkokotenis are called? They're called ambulance. Because when you see it coming, you have to move out of the way.
It is in your interest to move.
And where are these guys taking the waste?
Where do they dump it?
Where are they dumping it?
They just go and dump it in the nearest place, a river,
If there's a river somewhere,
that's where it goes.
If there's a
All right?
rubbish heap, hapo.
This is what is happening in very many informal areas in this country. Start with the city.
As the county government watches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those people basically have been denied the right to what? A toilet.
Dignity, man.
Dignity. It's the bottom line. And as we keep talking about, but you see, this is what's happening. So what does that mean? It means that people, because you want to avoid going to that toilet, you want to get out of your house at night to go to another place where you can relieve yourself. That means women and children can't do it. Because at night, dangers. So it just has a whole issue of dignity. And yet, Article 43 of our Constitution says that you have a right to proper sanitation, housing, health, and so on and so forth. This issue of sanitation, we don't think about it because we use this heavy word, sanitation. We should call it what it is, toilet.
Toilet.
You have a right to a toilet.
So you can see why I get so irritated when we talk about, the economy is growing and development index has risen by 1.2 base index points. And I don't know what. Rubbish. Go down to the ground and see what's happening.
Yep.
The measure of a country, it's just the way the measure of a man is in his truth. The measure of a country is what the most vulnerable. That is the true picture of any country. The most vulnerable person is the picture of the country. I don't care if you want to put lipstick on a pig. Those are the things that we need to be focusing on.
Meanwhile, DP Gachagua, former DP Gachagua, is now in Wamunyoro, right?
Latiff?
Huko kwao Shago.
Oh, okay, sawa.
Anamka hapo asubuhi anaenda shash.
It's called Wamunyoro.
Anaenda shash?
Anaenda shash for Saturday. Alafu anarudi wapi? Nyumbani. Are we together?
Yeah, me, I was still on trash.
Yeah, people of Wamunyoro, they are now used to seeing him.
Oh, okay.
Anamka asubuhi, anafanya stretch, anaenda pale kwa kibanda. Wanakaa chini wanakunywa chai, mandazi. You know now Wamunyoro is cold like that this time, but there's plenty of milk. So unawekewa maziwa kwa kikombe, unaambiwa hiyo ni chai.
Oh, yeah.
Unajiongezea tumajani kidogo. Tumachani.
Machani.
Machai. Unywe kachai kidogo. Now what they keep asking themselves is, so now these guys have sent this man back home. What are we supposed
to do with him? Sasa tunafaa kumsalimia kila siku. Can we ignore him on Wednesday?
You know, they speak in that Kimadera Nyeri. Atirere, guri atirere. Luto ni murare hire Joffrey Muchiri. Mukwenda Joffrey yake ata guku. Wa Munyoro. Luto dagethie chamba ya majani, dagetua majani. Dagetua kahua, mukwenda Joffrey yake ata guku. Na dagethie mukawa kedia mandazi.
Joffrey anafanya nini?
Mandazi. Hiyo nilisikia.
So I'm wondering, Sana, what do we do with him? Yes. Meanwhile, there are some 300 people who used to work for him who have also been told, they've been sent a text message that they go and collect termination letters.
Can you imagine?
Now, here's the thing. The political fallout from the impeachment of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua continues to unfold with approximately 300 workers dismissed. 300 workers have been dismissed. Sources indicate that workers hired on contract 2 years ago during Gashagua's tenure at Harambee House Annex and Karen began receiving dismissal notifications over the weekend via text message. The messages informed them that their contracts had been terminated. One staffer, John Lydiah, expressed dismay, saying, "I received communication from HR that my contract had been terminated." However, when Lydiah visited the office, he was informed that the termination letters were not yet finalized. The mass dismissals followed an October 19th circular from Principal Administrative Secretary Patrick Mwangi, which placed 108 staff on compulsory leave. Now, my question is, you want to tell me there have been 300 people who have just been working
in the office
only for Gachagua, and that we can dismiss like that?
I think Gashagua's employees, are they employees of the government?
They are clearly being fired by the government.
Because they were his employees.
Because they were working.
No, but
they were hired by the PSC.
No.
That's a question.
So they're not, are they, that's what, let me ask a question. Were they his employees or were they government employees?
But if they were just government employees, you would imagine that if they were hired by the PSC, seconded to the office of the deputy president, then the new individual would carry on work with them. But he's been removed, and by virtue of that, these 300 people are being removed. So they were hired for him and not the office. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
That means that there's rehiring of other folks now for Deputy President Kindiki. Abi?
The question, why 300?
What were they doing? What were 300 people doing?
300.
What were they doing?
As in, there are 300 people, and this person has left office, so they can go. So is Kindiki going to hire his own 300?
This is what I'm asking. PSC now will hire another 300 people for Kindiki.
Does he need 300? Is he coming with his 300 from interior?
What are people
Is the new
doing?
interior CS then going to have his own? What? 300 people for what?
What are they doing? Okay, let's assume that you have the I don't even know, assistants, deputy assistants.
We saw the list of 108. Protocol, communication, I don't know what and what. But even let's even work with the 108 that we actually saw in that circular that was going around. 108 people.
Even the 108 for me was a lot of people.
108 people in one office. What are they doing?
What were they doing? Then you still have another 192 people. What were they doing? Salah, what were they doing in one office? Is it a whole floor? Even if it was a whole floor of 25 offices, let's say everybody was handling communication and management and administration and and then you say, okay, what transport? Come on, how many can you have?
And it's people you don't need.
You don't need. That's
because
the truth.
Since that circular of the 19th of October, they haven't been going to work. And the government has not stopped. Have you heard anything like the government has shut down?
It was continuing. Do you know what it makes me think, though, then? If that can be in the deputy president's office, how much wastage is actually going on for other offices whereby there are folks who've been hired, 10 people are doing 2 people's work?
Yep.
1,000 people doing easily 150 people's work.
Yep. And we can go to Bomas and have a conference and call it, what is it called? The SRC conference at Bomas.
Yeah, the one where we want to get it to 35%.
About our wage bill. We need to bring it down to 35. It does just stuff rationalizing. 300 people who could easily be dismissed, and the country does not stop.
Yeah, 300.
The lights don't go off. It tells you that this is why our wage bill is so high.
What is the wage bill for the civil service?
It is over what is recommended. 35% is the cap, is the ceiling.
But it's surpassed a long time.
We are due
It
for
did.
that too. We are.
So it's approaching about $1 trillion.
Yes.
So you can see. You see, the thing that I find strange, there's an element of unfairness in this conversation if what we are reading is accurate. These people who are employed, they may have sought employment, but they were employed by the government.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So is this how you get rid of people who work for the government?
But can you imagine also from a humanity point of view, these are folks who had a job, right? You're going to the end of the year, people had plans, people had things, and then you're going to tell them, you know what, by virtue of the fact there's a political row here or there, you're going to go home. But I'm still on that question. What were 300 people doing in an office for one individual? It was one individual office.
Yeah.
And you can get rid of them, like you're saying, Eric. And you can get rid of them. You can stall all of this, and there is still normal operation.
Everything about this, including the, I was about to say amputation, when I meant was impeachment of the Shabu.
What did you say? Amputation?
No, it's just what came to my mind. It's impeachment.
Me, I like you, Sisi. I do.
It reminds me of a story in 1 Kings chapter 21. The guy called Naboth. Naboth had a vineyard. And there's like a king whose name was Ahab. He wanted
the vineyard.
Yes. And he was a king given to sulking. So he told Naboth, you give me a vineyard, I plant skumawiki na mrenda.
Naboth said no.
It's my ancestor. I will give you. She said vegetables.
He said, I will give you
another place where you can say, no, it's my ancestors. So when your sulking wife came to him and told him, Chief, Have you forgotten you're the king?
Can have anything
What is the
you
matter with you? He said, what you're going to do, we're going to declare a function, feast.
Yeah.
And Naboth will be given a high seat.
Yeah.
Then we'll pick two scoundrels. Scoundrels. Yes. To sit next to him. And these scoundrels will say this man has profaned against God, and then he'll be stoned to death. That's what happened.
Yes.
Naboth was stoned to death.
Was stoned to death.
God told Elijah, you see what has happened?
Come here.
You go and tell
Ahab
and his wife Jezebel. You see where Naboth's blood spilled? You, Ahab, your blood will be licked by dogs. You, Jezebel, on the wall of this particular city, you. First of all, dogs will eat your flesh and crows will pluck your eyes. What am I trying to say? If indeed there is injustice, what you may not realize is you are unleashing the same fate on yourself. You may not think it is true, but it is true.
Very true.
It cometh surely and surely.
Yes, most certainly, surely it does.
Very well.
It'll come.
Very well said. It's 7 a.m. News time.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. All public schools will receive grade 9 textbooks by December 15th, says Education CS Julius Ogamba. Ogamba wants head teachers to remain in schools during the holiday period to receive the books.
The books have been prepared, they have been distributed, and we agreed with the head teachers that they'll remain in the institutions until December 15th when all the books would have come. So if you have not received them, they are on the way. In other institutions here, you confirm that they have come so that you receive them.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja has assured the 43 homeowners of Woodley Estate who vacated their properties for a modern housing project that they will return to newly constructed homes once the project is complete. In a statement following a cabinet meeting, Sakaja confirmed that a 10-acre portion of the 10-acre land would be redeveloped into a modern estate with 1,975 housing units. Sakaja emphasized the government's commitment to fairness, noting this is the first time residents have been compensated and given formal guarantees before vacating. The new Woodley estate will feature amenities such as a swimming pool, playground and shopping center, setting a new benchmark for urban living in Nairobi. Nakuru Governor Anne Waiguru has said she won't hang her boots after her term ends in 2027. The second-term governor was first elected in the 2017 elections after serving as devolution CS in the Jubilee administration's first term, becoming one of the 3 female county bosses. Then Waiguru dismissed the assumption that she will quit active politics once her second term ends. Waiguru said the opening of the new branch in Kirugoya reflects the confidence the lender has in the county's potential and marks a new era of opportunities for residents, SMEs and business alike. She was launching a new bank in the region. Now, Kenya has officially enacted legislation banning the manufacturing, importation and use of plastic bags, marking a significant step in the country's efforts to combat plastic pollution. The new regulations took effect on 4th of November, granting non-woven bag manufacturers a 1-month grace period to comply. Within this grace period, manufacturers were required to declare their existing stock of plastic bags and outline alternative mechanisms for phasing them out. The legislation also prohibits the importation of plastic bags, including those brought in by travelers or as packaging for imported goods. Exceptions will only be made under strict guidelines for special use cases. Dr. Ayub Mashari, the National Environment Management Authority Regulations Enforcement Manager, highlighted that some manufacturers have circumvented the 2017 ban on plastic bags by adding non-biodegradable chemicals to their products, thereby violating environmental laws. Under the new legislation, individuals or entities found manufacturing, selling or using plastic bags in violation of the new law face penalties of up to 4 years in prison, fines of up to 2 million shillings or both. To international news, and Mozambique's opposition leader called for 3 days of mourning from Wednesday, that is today, for 50 people he said were killed in post-election violence as President Filipe Nyusi urged dialogue to end weeks of turmoil. In a Facebook address Tuesday, watched by tens of thousands of people, Venancio Mondlane again demanded a recount of the October 9th vote, which the Electoral Commission said was won by Frelimo party in power for almost half a century. In a State of the Nation address later Tuesday, Nyusi, who is due to step down in January, condemned an attempt to install chaos in the country. And Russia has begun serial production of mobile bomb shelters that can protect against a variety of threats, including shockwaves and radiation from a nuclear blast. The Emergency Ministry's Research Institute said the Cube-M shelter could offer protection for 48 hours against these and other natural and man-made hazards. Among those it listed were explosions and shrapnel from conventional weapons, falling debris from buildings, dangerous chemicals and fires. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
All right, after the morning sprinkle, let's take a look at what's happening on the roads. It's starting to build on Jogo Road, and there's some traffic as you get towards Landis. A little bit busier on the Thika Superhighway now, and we're seeing some traffic coming in from Survey through towards the Pangani Underpass and then out towards Muranga Road. That's okay. Stuff kept to a dull roar on the Thika Superhighway, but we're seeing traffic building. Okay, a little bit more than that. Coming in from Kahawa Sukari, traffic all the way through past Kasarani and then out towards that Allsops Junction. It looks like it could be quite something this morning. When it rains, it pours, that's for sure. Coming off Kangunda Road, there is some traffic there. And Outer Ring, as you then touch on North Airport Road, is busy. It's also starting to build on the Eastern Bypass. I will take a quick look at what's coming off of Ngong Road, and not much in terms of traffic, but we know that's going to build. All right, coming in then James Gishoro through towards Wayaki Way. Nothing happening here. We're not in traffic hour yet. Let's see what happens when we are. We'll talk in the meantime, trying to keep things moving this morning. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's 7 minutes after 7. How are you doing? Welcome to The Conversation. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. On to the second hour this Wednesday, the 20th of November, 2024. How are you doing? Kuna kakiru ama hauna kakiru? Uko tu namna hiyo? Kama uko tu namna hiyo, it's okay. It's okay, we shall talk to you about it. This Wednesday and next couple of Wednesdays, we shall be having some Wealth Wednesdays with our friends from Standard Chartered Bank, and two of them have joined us this morning. Edith Chumba is head of wealth. Leave it at that. You like? Yeah? When the kids ask you, so what do you do? I'm head of wealth.
You know, by the sound of it, it sounds even more serious than the CS for finance.
Yeah.
Because that guy just CS.
Yeah, and his job is only to spend.
It's to spend. This one is somebody who creates wealth. Yes.
Head of Wealth and Retail Banking for Kenya and East Africa at Standard Chartered Bank, Edith Chumba, and Paul Njoki, CFA, is Head of Affluent Banking. Yeah. And Wealth Management Products.
By the end of this hour, I'm going to be rich.
Something's going to rub off on you, isn't it?
Aye. Edith and Paul, karibuni sana. Good morning and welcome to the hot seat of the Situation Room. Yeah, we will talk about wealth. First, we have to start with definitions, and then we'll go into now starting to create it and to manage it. All right. But before we do all that, CT will welcome you with the day's proverb. Just listen to the proverb, think about it, and give us your interpretation of that proverb. What do you think the proverb is saying? CT, for the last couple of weeks, you've been south of Sahara, north of the Limpopo.
Yes. There's this part of the continent of Africa that is referred to as sub-Saharan Africa. That's where we are. We've been to Kenya, we've been to DRC. Now we are in Burundi, the Republic of Burundi. The proverb is simple. Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
No, it doesn't.
Paul, that sounds like a proverb that you'd come up with.
Yeah, but it actually sounds true if you think about it, right? Because what gets into my mind is one time, and I'll quote our CEO, Kariu Kingari, in a management meeting, told us that, you can't tell your children straight in their face that you don't have school fees. Even if you don't. So that's what comes to my mind.
So what do you tell your children?
You give them hope.
They ask, can we see you relax?
Just do your homework and go to bed early, get ready for the morning, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Okay. Edith, what's your interpretation of this?
No, I agree with the proverb. It's not anything tangible if you think about hope. Even our own lives, no one here is sure of living in the next hour. None of us. And that is what life is.
Hope.
Yeah.
That's true.
Okay. So let's start with the definitions. What is wealth, Edith?
I think it's, again, back to that, I want to relate it to the proverb that you talk about. Wealth, in my mind, is accumulation of valuable resources, either monetary or otherwise. And it's something you cannot touch today. But with hope and hard work, you can almost realize or visualize what it would look like in future. That is my definition, my own personal definition of what wealth is.
Okay. So there's a bit of it that's tangible, and then there's a bit of it that's...
Correct.
That's hope.
Correct.
It's future.
It's future.
But you're building on it now.
Now.
I see.
And you can actually, on the reverse of tangibility or not being tangible, you can almost touch and feel it today. But it is futuristic.
There are those that argue that, being healthy is being wealthy.
Correct.
And because you're healthy today, then it's not about the future. It's about the now, that you are wealthy now. But you also need to make sure that tomorrow you continue to be the same way wealthy.
Correct.
Okay. And then, Paul, the work that you do as head of affluent banking, what is that? And we have to make sure that it is an affluent, not effluent.
Yes, absolutely. I think very quickly on the definition in terms of what wealth means to me is having options. And I'll stop at that, and then I'll go to affluent banking. So affluent banking looks at a segment of our clients who either are already affluent or are aspiring to be affluent. And when I say affluent means that, as you mentioned, wakona kakiru, as you mentioned earlier, all in terms of their dreams, hope, and aspirations, they actually are working towards that space. Okay, so we define the segment from two perspectives. One is, people earning salaries of up to or starting 150,000 shillings, and all aspire or do have about 1 million shillings that they can put aside to invest. So broadly, that is the definition. But I think the most important part of this definition is that the aspiration part of it, because wealth management or wealth creation is if somebody aspires to get there, then we show them the path to get there. So that's how I would define the segment.
It's walking the journey. Okay. Walking the journey.
Yep.
Now, we also talk about how Standard, that's what we've been talking about, how Standard Chartered Bank, well, number one, it's the only truly global bank operating in Kenya today, and dealt wealth of experience, again, wealth, with all your officers who understand how to build, grow, and maintain wealth over the years, and how then you come in and give all the support that you give. So when you talk about now doing the affluent banking and wealth management, Paul, what do you do? What's your day-to-day job?
Okay, so what I do on a day-to-day basis, and which is supported by a big team that cuts across relationship management, the branch network, and experts in different areas of wealth, is that the first thing we do is we look at our clients, and we, by way of asking a few questions, determine what is their appetite for investing. Okay, so we call that a client investment profile. That's one very important part, because it's like when you go to the doctor, they will take your blood pressure, temperature, and a couple of things so that they at least understand you before they can prescribe any medicine. That's part one. And we take that very seriously. The second part is then we look at the products and solutions that are available in Kenya and globally. And when I say globally, I actually mean exactly that. And, working with a network of different wealth managers and our own network of the banks across Standard Chartered network across the world, we curate those products, and then we rate them in a way that then fit into the client investment profile. So that, Latiff, if you're a moderate investor, we will be able to look at you and, let's say, prescribe or recommend products that are of that category. We don't expose you to very aggressive products that are not fit for you. Neither do we recommend you very conservative products that then don't meet your requirements. So those are, in a nutshell, what we do. Of course, it's technology, there is systems, there's people, all that, but the end goal is that we help clients be able to access products that are available globally at their appetite of investing. Yeah.
Edith, why is it important to have that attention, as we've known Standard Chartered to, on wealth management? Why? I mean, we know that it exists, but then there's a constant push for wealth management. Why is it so important?
Yeah, I think firstly, I mean, we have the advantage of being the only international bank today in this part of the world, and we are leveraging the capabilities we have globally to help the communities that we serve. I want to draw comparison in what we see in Asia or in Europe, even in America. The savings culture over time has been inculcated in those communities, and that is what has helped people grow wealth and pass those wealth to generations. Asia in itself, just pick India. Whenever you talk to any Indian family, they'll tell you this is third, second, fourth generation. Compare that with what we see in our African context. It's very difficult. Maybe it breaks at generation one or nothing happens. Or you die with your wealth. So what we are trying to do is, and to Paul's point, it's a life cycle thing that we look at. We have clients of different ages and they are at different stages in their life.
Yeah.
Today, if you see a wealthy person in Kenya, and it's sad that sometimes we think that way, that the way they made their wealth is maybe through corruption or old money, or they are born in rich families. That's really our mindset. But we want to now break that thing and say that anybody, literally, our nature as human beings is you want to succeed, you want the best for yourself, you want to live well, you want your children to go to good schools, right?
Yeah.
So what Standard Chartered is trying to do is, how do we drive that narrative? And not just drive the narrative, but bring the solutions. So our goal is to be the wealth lead for our affluent clients. And affluent clients, again, We have young professionals that are starting, and today, given we all had an entry level, your salary was probably, but over time, because you work hard, your salary increases. Then what do we do as your financial advisor? How do we help you to start building that wealth today? So that's really our intention. That's really the goal that we want to
There's this challenge that we Africans have.
Yes.
We sometimes loosely refer to that challenge as black tax. We sometimes loosely refer to it as the extended family system. How then do you manage the extended family system and create wealth at the same time?
Let me give you an example of a friend who shared with me their experience and literally the extended family challenge. So this friend of mine employed, very good job, but their salary could only take care of themselves, newly married, but they have siblings that they had to support, parents back at home. And what she used to do is would borrow money. Your salary is not enough. You spend your salary, you reach a point where you can't manage any emergencies. You're called from home, your mom is sick, you can't. So she would go and borrow money. Give me 5,000, 10,000, I need to buy medicine. And this day she met this very good friend who said to her on her face, stop these bad manners of always borrowing money. You're employed. Start saving. And when she was told that, she says at that point, she felt desecrated. I'm having a problem. I just came to you. Why are you making me feel like I'm a beggar? But she says that was her turning point. Because what this friend said to her is, if you earn 10 shillings, put 1 shilling aside. It will take time, but over time, you will have the discipline of always putting that money aside. To cut the long story short, today, this client is one of our best investing customers. And they say any emergency that pops up, they're not going to borrow. They will just go into that savings of theirs and solve whatever that problem is. Because the reality, we are Africans. That thing will not go away. And for me, my fear is our children. They will not do that thing. My own children sometimes say, hey, mom, you guys, you had issues. But the reality is that those issues are still there. Yeah. You see? So how do we help people to always remember, put this money aside? Yeah. And then what Paul has done, one of the solutions Paul introduced, it's money market fund. And it's very popular. It's called the AC Shilinga. So AC Shilingi, we retailed it to a level where you can start with 1,000 shillings. Do you know what we are seeing? 2 years. That fund is now 15 billion asset under management. That's the collective savings that Kenyans have put together. What we are now beginning to see is young people who are just trying this thing. They have built their balances, say, touching 500,000 or $1 million. They are now interested in getting into more sophisticated offshore. They're asking about mutual funds. They want FCY investments, cross-border. And it's let me tell you, those young people, in another 10 years, they will be wealthy. They will be in that category.
It's very interesting, Edith. And I guess we can pull on Paul for that, because then you talk about planning for today. We think about that in today, you don't need a plan. Well, you do. So planning for today, planning for tomorrow, planning for the future. Let's be honest, when we think about banks, it was, look, you put your money in here, you take it out, the bank makes a profit, we call it a day, we keep it moving, right? But now we're talking about a different kind of relationship whereby the institution is actually interested in making sure that what you have, you can use for tomorrow. So what are some of the things that then you've been able to put in place to ensure? Obviously we've heard about the Shilingi account, but then obviously with that in mind, that you can plan for tomorrow, you can have something aside for tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you very much. So, and you've touched our wealth management framework, and it is not necessarily owned by us, but it's a very good philosophy to use when you're managing wealth. Today tomorrow, and forever. I know you said future, but it's the same, right? Forever. And that framework help us when we have a conversation with you as our client to start having a clear direction of travel in terms of what are your immediate needs today. You know, pay your bills, eat, you're paying school fees, whatever it is, your immediate, has to happen. What are your plans for tomorrow? I mean, if you're going to take your kid to college in 5 years, you want to put a retirement, you want to have an emergency, fund for whatever it is. And then the forever, meaning, is there something that you'd like to pass to the next generation? Now, of course, you can only pass something to the next generation if you did well with today and tomorrow. Okay, so that we spent quite a bit of time on that. Now, why this is important is because then the goals that we discuss with you, which are very, very personal to you, and mostly are life goals, children education, healthcare, retirement, and the like, then forms part of the conversation I started with Latiff in terms of then what is your appetite for investing? And we get to advise you. So if you're looking to put money aside for child education in 5 years, then you are faced with a couple of things to manage. One is that the cost of education will go high. It has always been going up. Okay, so that's called inflation. Okay, and it's the education itself in terms of tuition, but also the costs around the accommodation and all that. So those are going up. So inflation is enemy number one. And the second thing is, if you're looking to put your kid to college, and I'm using that as an example, in a country not Kenya, then you have to think of foreign currency. Again, then you have to take care of that. Over a 5-year period, those becomes really important risk that you have to manage. Then it informs the kind of solution that we recommend to you. Meaning, the investment that we recommend to you has to be earning a return higher than the inflation rate so that it can maintain the purchasing power for you to be able to pay the school fees then. Okay? And also it has to, if of course the school fees will be in foreign currency, manage foreign currency. So we get to invest in foreign currency now so that you don't wait to invest in local currency. And at that time, you're at the mercy of what the exchange rate would be. So the solutions that we create and for a client are really, really based on what the client goals are. Now, from a product perspective, Shilingi, today you want some money to, you can get in, you can get out. Actually, it's 500 shillings minimum. You can get in, get out anytime. No cost to get in, no cost to get out. So that's for emergency kind of expenses and anything that you may need very quickly. Then, once you have that, then we start stepping to the tomorrow. So we introduce you to bonds, the bond market, and the bond market is really big, locally and globally. Very big market, which most people don't know. They think the equity market is bigger. But the bond market is big and has a lot of opportunities. We can get you bonds anywhere in the world, US, UK, Japan, China, anywhere. Okay, but again, it's based on your goals. So if your goals are leading you to UK, then we discuss the pounds a little bit more, and we get you investment in pounds, and then. We got the mutual funds. So the mutual funds is a corrective. So like-minded investors pull their money together. In Kenya, we call it unit trust. Or they pull the money together, and that is invested and managed by a professional fund manager, and then gives you the return. Again, this is a big space. We have over 200 different funds options. Do you need all of them in your bag? No. Probably you don't need a few, 2, 3, 4, to manage, to be able to put the right investment structure for yourself. But the choice is there. So the tools are there in the bag to use depending on the goals that we are trying to achieve. Yeah.
Edith, I've got to ask you, what's the difference between saving and investing?
Actually, there's a difference, but they're intertwined. So I think in my mind, you start first inculcating the savings culture. The discipline of saying, I have 10 shillings, I will put one aside. You accumulate that one, you build a balance to a level where you can now start serious investment, which is what Paul is talking about. It could be long-term, it could be short-term, depending on what your need is. Are you chasing returns? Are you looking at a future goal that you want to address? An example he has given about children education. Then now you get into that investment space. So it really, the investment space now addresses specific needs, if you like.
Okay.
Retirement.
Okay.
But for you to get into meaningful investment conversation,
you need to save.
You have to start building that balance.
But can you save can you invest as a tool for saving? So you see this one bob,
yes,
out of the 10,
yes,
there's the one bob that I have to start building that culture of saving the 1 shilling. Where am I keeping it? Can I say
in
that
a savings account?
Can I start with investing it? The 1 shilling, tomorrow
and that's
there'll
why
be 2.
I'm saying they're intertwined, because even in that savings journey that you start, there's some return you're already getting. I mean, if you open a savings account, you will be paid some interest in it. But I think the bigger conversations now from an investment and wealth creation perspective is once you've started building a sizable balance,
then you're now getting bigger.
Correct.
Because I'm actually looking at it off the back of just these 2 products that we talked about, the SC Shilingi, from as little as 500 shillings, putting into a money market fund. Maybe that can be. So I am saving, yes, but I am saving in the
investment.
In the investment in the money market fund.
Correct.
Or I'm saving whatever. I decided it's 5,000. It keeps growing, but it's there.
Correct.
At some point, then I come and tell Paul, okay, now my friend, I'm a Jew. Start showing me how to put into these pounds and the dollars and the euros and all and so on and so forth. So it's basically the journey that is continuous.
Correct.
Okay, let's take a break. We continue with this conversation shortly. Edith Chumba is the head of wealth and retail banking for Kenya and East Africa at Standard Chartered Bank, and Paul Njoki is the head of affluent banking and wealth management products for Kenya and East Africa at the same bank. And at this point, let me now plug in my relationship manager, right? Judith Thiembo, my RM at Standard Chartered Bank. Yeah. She does a good job. She's introduced me to Paul a number of times. Yeah. She does a good job. So this is to say yes. All these things that they're talking about, I've experienced it. They deal with you one-on-one. Our conversation today is about wealth. How are you doing with your wealth? Let's today focus on children's education and how then Standard Chartered Bank can help you inculcate that culture of saving, of wealth creation, wealth management, and thinking also going all the way into the future. Children is not just about children educating the children today, but it's also what shall you leave for your children when you hit the exit button. 29 minutes to 8. We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Enjoy the finest blend of investments for your wealth. Choosing the right investment comes with experience and expertise. Access Chartered Signature CIO funds, a range of global investment portfolios curated by their Chief Investment Officer. Achieve your goals with Standard Chartered's expertise. Email prioritybanking.ke@sc.com today.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It's a rainy morning in Nairobi, 17 degrees. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 16 and lows of 14 with highs of 25. In a partly sunny Nakuru at 16. It's cloudy at 14 in Nyeri with highs of 23 and partly sunny at 14 in Eldoret with highs of 24 and lows of 13 at 26. It's sunny in Mombasa. We'll see highs of 32 and highs of 32 as well in a sunny Malindi. 22 and partly sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29, while at 18 it's partly sunny in Kakamega going to highs of 28. It's sunny at 20 in Kampala with highs of 26, while in Dar es Salaam at 25, we'll see highs of 30 and lows of 25. Sunny at 17 in Johannesburg with highs of 29 and lows of 16, while Mogadishu at 27 is sunny, we'll see highs of 31, 12 degrees and sunny in Addis Ababa with highs of 22, while into a clear Lagos, it's 26 degrees, we'll see highs of 33. It's mostly clear at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 32, see lows of 24.
Spice up your life.
All right, we're stepping into traffic hours. Take a quick look at what's going on these streets. We're seeing a bit of that build-up on James Gishuru today as you cross over towards the Red Hill Link Road. We're starting to see more traffic now. Folks probably less afraid of the rain. And on Waiyaki Way, as you're coming in towards Westlands, that's also starting to build up. We'll see some bumper-to-bumper action as you get into your different junctions. Nothing to be too worried about, at least not for now. Into the CBDs where we see most of the traffic this morning. A quick look at the Thika Superhighway shows us that traffic is actually building quite some. All the way in from Githurai, it's heavy as you get towards the Allsops Junction. Out towards Survey, it continues there. Limuru Road is busy. Kiambu Road also busy. A couple of lanes means that everybody's trying to get to Muthaiga Square at the same time. So, why give space when you can all clog up, right? On Jago Road, getting out towards Landis, that's a bit busy. And Outer Ring is joining with whatever is coming off of the Eastern Bypass. It's traffic, and it's starting to get to a bumper-to-bumper situation. Kangundo Road, busy, touching on Outer Ring. So we're in traffic hour now. Let's see what happens as we get into Tuesday proper. SpiceFM KE on X, hashtag The Situation Room.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Wednesday with Standard Chartered Bank. We are talking about priority banking, and we've been saying it, prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. SC,
the letters.
Yes. Prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. Edith Chumba, Head of Wealth and Retail Banking, and Paul Njoki, Head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management Products for Kenya and East Africa at Standard Chartered Bank. City. We are talking about wealth and thinking about children and children's education and planning.
The discussion about wealth at the best of times is aspirational. Because you may even think you're wealthy, but you could always be wealthier. And then there are those who argue that the real wealth you have on this planet is your children. So when you plan and you think and you plot and you work hard and you save and you invest, yes, it's for yourself, but we mostly think children. What will we do for the children? How will we ensure that we do it well? Now, Standard Chartered tell us that these questions that I'm asking myself loudly, they have an answer to. Tell us, how exactly do we combine all these things, given the vagaries of life that we now face, the economy and the downturn? English, downturn. Okay. How do we begin this journey of ensuring, and at what point in our lives do we begin this journey?
Maybe I'll start and then Paul will get into the details of, the specific solutions that we have. I think it starts actually as a woman, as a mother. It starts when I conceive. I need to start thinking about this child. God help me, I give birth with no problems to a normal, healthy child. That is where the journey starts. And I think some of us, we were lucky, we met people who gave that advice. When I started working in the bank then, Barclays, not earning too much, just at the entry level, and I met this manager who said to me, start an insurance, Educare insurance for your son. And then for me, putting 500 shillings was too much for me. But he kept saying, no, just do it. Many years, when my son was joining Form 1, I got that money. The thing matured. And I used part of that money to enroll my son in a private university that he really wanted to. Would I have done it easily? I'm not too sure. Because then it meant I go and borrow. And this is what we are trying to help clients to avoid. If you live in Kenya today, most parents, today particularly, are really struggling when kids get to the level they are going to university. Each time a child is reporting back to school, you are running around looking for advance or a loan. And God help, it's less than a year, you haven't even repaid the thing. Because there's interest rates that you're paying, you haven't even paid the principal amount. So you're always stuck in this roller coaster of loans. And if you have more children, it even becomes more complicated. I hand it over to Paul.
To uncomplicate the situation.
Well, you're starting with more children.
Absolutely. I think
I'd like to twist it a little bit, Paul, and it's a very good foundation that we know we've set it here with Edith. Started with somebody who has children who are there is close to university, high school, and lower ones, Magoti. But at that stage, and then now we shall come into those who have young families just starting out, and the difference in terms of how you'd advise them.
Okay. So those who have already had children in high school and colleges are in the today, in our framework. So they're already today. So they actually need the money to be able to afford their education. And if the savings and investment hadn't happened, then, children education cannot wait. You cannot tell your child, sorry, this year, at least not anymore, you will not go to school because...
Take a gap year.
It is a gap year, not anymore. I mean, back in the days, I think it used to happen, but now you can't do that, right? So you need to plug that gap. So as a financial institution, yes, we do have products that help you to plug the gaps, the loans, okay? Because, the situation is at that stage, so let's plug the gap, and then of course, the period that we give you to repay back, over 60 months, sometimes 72 months, just so that we spread it out and ease the pressure. Because wealth management also is how do you deal with the spikes of costs, right? That may come. So solutions are there. If you're one of the parents or clients we have been advising or have been advised and while savings and all investing, then you're in a much better space. I think then what we need to think about is whatever the investment were, it could have been abroad or whatever it is, how do you turn that now to become a cash flow type of an investment so that it can yield you the cash you need so that at every start of term, you have cash to pay for school fees.
Yeah.
We find that solution mostly in the bond market because the bonds pay a specific, a known amount at a specific day in the future. So you can be able to know on this day, 20th of November 2024, I will receive X amount.
Yeah.
And then you can say, okay, fine, that would be my school fees for January. So I'll keep that now once received, and like every 6 months, a coupon is paid. So we help clients, and we've done a lot of that to help clients, liquidate some of the investment that are not as liquid, and put that into liquid investment so that then they're able to manage the cost of education. We have a lot of cases we've done that.
Yeah.
So someone sells their kafuroti,
yep,
and they put money here,
yep,
and then it starts actually working for them.
Absolutely.
Because the kafuroti was just pride.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beacon.
As opposed to eating the money that came from the plot or doing something with it, right?
Absolutely. Okay.
So this is the thing that a lot of folks might then be worried about. And it's just like that, the sentiment that you shared previously, Edith, is that, okay, you think, okay, somebody's asking you to put away 500 shillings. And let's be honest, that here we are in an economy where it's, things are tough for a lot of folks today, right? And you're thinking, okay, maybe number one, fear of being late in the game. And am I too late to have to start this thing? Number two, whatever I have that can actually go towards something, in my mind, is too little. And I'm not going to go to Standard Chartered and say, look, I have 500 bob. I understand about the shit, but that's the sentiment, right? That it is too little, and when on earth will it ever grow to something substantial? And then number three, who's going to listen to me if I've created a mess with my finances before, or I've not really done what would have been required me to do within this system? Those are fears. Those are real fears and concerns that people have. How do we deal with those within this wealth management creation system? Because do we lock people out who just have 500 bob and want to aspire to have 5 million? Or how do they now start to take the steps towards this?
I think for me, start. That is what I would say. Just start. And the first step to make is meet Paul and the advisors. You see, to your point, and I hear those fears. I mean, putting 500 shillings aside, when will I even get to $1 million?
Sure.
Is it even worth my time?
So let's eat the money.
Which is the worst?
If the problems you have
are bigger than the money you have,
eat the
money.
And you see, as you eat the money, your problems accumulate.
Right.
And you're still living. God help us, we live for whatever years. So I think for me is to advise, just come and have that conversation with Standard Chartered. And say, this is what I aspire to do. This is what I'm thinking. This is what I earn. Where do I start? What we've done is we have those structures to help everybody at whatever stage to plug in and start the journey. You see, the beauty again is if you start the behavior of saying, I will put this 500, or maybe it's not 500. You will sacrifice that, say, instead of 500, I'll put 5,000. It will pinch. It is painful the first 1 month, second month. I can tell you, by the time you get to the fourth month, you forget about it.
You get used to
and you will
not having
surprise
it.
yourself. You will surprise yourself. I can tell you the young people who've started the investment journey with Standard Chartered in the money market fund, who started with 500 or 1,000 or whatever, they celebrate when they meet the first milestone of 100,000. They celebrate. And then now they have this motivation to even build it. And they say, I want to be a millionaire in another 1 year. And it happens. And they go like, I did it.
So clearly when they celebrate, they don't withdraw the money to celebrate. No. Okay, they leave it there.
No, they don't.
Okay.
They build on it. They build on it. And that's it. That is it. For me, start. Just start. Don't feel embarrassed. Don't.
That's the point.
That's the thing. So how do you
That's
have
the
those
thing.
uncomfortable conversations?
Because you see, at the younger ones, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I mean, I'm starting, I want to put in money here, I want to see how it goes. The older you go, and the longer time you've taken not to have started this journey, now the embarrassment starts coming in. So you come there and, how do you deal with someone, Edith, to make them actually feel comfortable and open up and say, you know what, I've actually messed up. It's been 20 years, I'm looking at what I have. It's like a plot there. We are in court with someone about that land. It's another one. City sold me a piece of land at just rock. And so on and so forth.
You're never going to leave the story of the rock, are you?
No.
We're going to deal with Paul. We're going to liquidate that thing. Right? Yeah. But then at that point, how do you then have that conversation that it's okay, you open up and tell me, and let's work together going forward. This is a safe space. There's no judging.
And that's what I'm saying. The experts are Paul and his team. I can tell you, I work for Standard Chartered, but I have an RM who is an expert, who sits me down and says, Edith, this is the direction. Have you considered this? Because Paul has made sure that they are well trained and certified, and they get information every single day that then helps them to have those conversations. And even ask you questions that will unpack things that you didn't even think of talking about. So I think, in my mind, Standard Chartered has built that capability over time, and would encourage potential clients and clients to start those conversations with the relationship managers in Standard Chartered Bank.
Let me ask the question that we always ask with regards to some of these money matters. There are students who are in primary school, secondary, university, TVETs. They will all grow up. As a bank, do you have a plan? Do you have a structured way of ensuring that you get your clients when they're young, and you get them to understand the very things we're discussing when they're young, and they are willing to listen, and they understand it even before they start having any money that you can speak of?
That's a fair challenge. I think that's one area that we can do better, to be honest. We try. We go to institutions. We have those financial literacy sessions. But to your direct question, thinking about their own educational growth and career growth, I think it's somewhere that we can plug in, given the capabilities that we have. So it's some feedback. I mean, we are also learning out of these conversations. That is something that we can build on and make it sharper.
You know, it reminds me of a story. Why I asked the question, I'm reminded of a story I heard many years ago when I was young. And I was young once, okay? And someone was talking about how it is you determine the difference between somebody who is a marketer and a salesperson. And the story was, you know, you give stories of Africa, the continent, as though it's one country. And the person came and found people who are barefooted and said, no, we can't sell shoes to these people. Someone else came and looked and said, my goodness, they're not wearing shoes. Perfect. Perfect. Yeah. And the setup. Now, I'm simply saying that many institutions we talk to in this very forum have plans, but for some reason, the future, especially where young Kenyans are concerned, isn't very clear. And yet, if you look at the population bulge that we have, it's in that group. And the numbers alone, even if the monies that they may invest in the future is not a lot, but because of their numbers, cumulatively, it'll be a great deal of money. Yes.
Yeah. If you like, I can take that. And I'll go back to what we did with SE Shilingi. SE Shilingi was an innovation by Standard Chartered, and we borrowed the concept from Brazil. I can tell you that. I won't discuss where we borrowed it, but we borrowed it from Brazil.
Are you returning it at some point?
Yeah, I think you come and copy it. It's won a couple of international awards, right? Yeah. And the concept really was to have a product that addresses people who are starting. Okay, starting. Get you started. 500. Get you started, right? And then remove any fees and charges related to the product so that it makes it even easier for you to actually get started. Now, this is what you've learned. About 71% of all clients who've come on this product are below the age of 40. About 37% are below the age of 30.
Wow.
Okay? So, to your question, are we doing something about it? Yes, we are putting our money where our mouth is. We're actually doing it. Now, that's the starting point. Have a solution. The next thing that we're doing is, and this started during COVID, and again with the ability to conference, these conference tools, we started a series of financial literacy with companies, particularly their employees. And this has gone on. I can tell you any single day, even today, there is a financial literacy program happening somewhere within the network. We've empowered the staff within Standard Chartered by training them, certifying them with world international certification, UK certification, and on top of the training we do, so that they can be able to have those conversations at multiple levels, different times, right? So we are building the capacity. And this is because we can see, the data is showing us that these wave of young people are coming up. They are educated, they are knowledgeable, and guess what? They're already trying out to invest. The other guys buying different things internationally, right? With this. So don't for a moment think that they are not trying. And that's where the real success will be. So in your example of people without shoes, we are seeing it and we are putting money to it.
Paul, I'm going to take you to task here. What you say is good, and it is to be lauded, it's to be applauded, it is wonderful. I'm not talking about those people. Not really. I'm talking about people who never even earned a shilling because they can't. I'm talking about people who are thinking of still being in school. Why am I thinking of this? Parents start accounts for their children. And the amount that you speak of, there are a number of parents who can afford to put that money aside for their children. So when they become of age, or when they are now in a position where they're beginning to earn, they will already have started that journey long before they started earning any money. That's where I was going.
Okay, got you.
And I was saying those numbers are huge, and it's untapped.
That's true.
That is what I was saying.
That's true.
Yes.
Take it on. Yeah.
Somebody's asking, sisi ambao tuko Gulf, how do we benefit from all this wealth of knowledge that you have at Standard Chartered? So Kenyans in the diaspora.
Okay. I'll tell you some of the wellness, we call them financial wellness sessions that we have. And I have done some, powered by, people in the for the state. and I won't mention them here, but you find the people who are joining from across the whole world. Across the whole world. There's also one I did, in Uganda, covering that market. But again, questions were coming from Nigeria, from South Africa, and that is the advantage we get with the technology. That a speaker here can be able to talk to many people across the world, and they get the Kenyans diaspora are really connected here. The other way is also our own expertise in the organization. Could it be in Singapore, Dubai, UK? Even sometimes we bring speakers from the US. They're able then to also speak to us. So the technology has really enabled us, and this is something that we're doing. Can we do more? Of course, we can do more, but we've started the journey. Yeah.
Talk about investing in foreign markets, because you mentioned it a number of times. So there's forex investing, but also you said you are not only investing in the local market, you're investing globally. Expound a little bit about that.
Okay, so Standard Chartered, being a global bank, has a tap on the ground, in multiple markets, and therefore we understand those markets very well. So we do not only lead research that is printed; we also know it because we are managing clients on the ground, and that expertise we have curated it in what we call our Chief Investment Office, CIO. Okay, that CIO office, which sits in Singapore, and we have a representative in Dubai, curates investment opportunities from across the globe. I'll give you an example. You can invest in India. India economy is booming at this time. You can invest in India. How can you do it? Well, here in Kenya, we can connect you to invest actually in the Indian market, because we are able to not only understand the specific details of how the economy is performing there, what particular sectors are doing well, we also have access to the products on the ground. And then, of course, with technology, it's on your phone. So we've built a fantastic technology that, all you need is your phone. Say, I would like to invest in this category, and boom, tap. In a few minutes, the transaction is done. So we are using our own global capabilities, our insights on the ground, and our ability to connect clients to the products on the ground right here from Kenya. Yeah.
It's interesting because sometimes, folks want to know that the people who benefit from such a system, the people who benefit from walking this journey, are actual human beings. Right? And that, okay, I don't want to get into something that's an idea. I want to get into something that is a reality. So how have you actually seen? I mean, you've given us a beautiful example, Edith, of one person who was born all over the place and then now is actually one of the biggest investors. So how have you seen that these things, and I think for both of you, how have you seen that these things that we speak about are applicable to real life human beings and have actually changed their lives?
I think we have many examples. We have many examples. In the last 4 or 5 years, we have seen our wealth proposition grow. And to Paul's point, cuts across different profiles of clients. The starters, those who have already invested, are now looking for even more cross-border opportunities. So in that sense, we have tangible outcome. But what we feel is that we've not even scratched the surface. We want to, and that's why we are here today. Other than just creating awareness and letting people know that come to Standard Chartered, we have the capability, we want to now get to a level where you make the consideration. You actually get to do it. Because today you've heard us talk about this thing. Our desire is to get you to start. To just start doing it. Start investing. Come speak to us and start doing it. Because there are many people wondering out there what to do with their money. We know our friends. We're in different investment chamas, if you like, for women. And even men have their own associations where they pool funds together. But what do? We buy more land. We buy more apartments. Why don't we diversify? We are giving this alternative to say, okay, it's fine, you've bought enough land now. How do we help you to start diversifying? So I think for us, the challenge we have, or the motivation, is that we have not scratched the surface. That's the motivation.
I think for me is when people vote with their money, you have to believe it. If I look at the story of what we call asset under management, meaning the money that we are managing for clients, from about 2018, we were about 19 billion shillings. And I'm talking numbers that are published, you can actually go there. At the close of last quarter, we are talking in the north of 286 billion.
Wow.
People have voted with their money.
Shillings or dollars?
This is shillings, I'm saying shillings, right? Just coming close to about $2 billion dollars, right? So people are voting with their money. So these are Kenyans. It's not money coming from outside of Kenya. These are clients in Kenya, clients of Standard Chartered. And we're not talking about corporates. These are individual clients and small businesses only. So people are voting with their money. So the story is believable. And of course, the story of Shilingi, as I mentioned it, the young people have come in as well. And the beauty of this is it's giving a lot of, coming back to your proverb, hope. That the future will be better. The young people are coming strong.
And they can see it.
Yeah, they can see it.
Indeed. So the way to get in touch with the Standard Chartered Bank and of course to get to understand about this priority banking and how you can be taken and guided through this is prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. I have to say it slowly so it's not SE. prioritybanking.ke@sc.com. You will be able to talk to people who will then guide you on what Paul Njoki, CFA, has been talking to us about. He's the head of Affluent Banking and Wealth Management Products for Kenya and East Africa. And Edith Chumba is the head of Wealth. Full stop. Then they've also added retail banking for Kenya and East Africa, Standard Chartered. It's been our Wealth Wednesday conversation. Thank you for keeping it locked. Keep it here for more conversations in the next hour at 8 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. President William Ruto bid farewell to outgoing United States Ambassador to Kenya Meg Whitman, who announced her resignation following Donald Trump's election as president. Whitman, who served as the U.S. Ambassador to Kenya for 2 years, revealed in a statement to newsrooms that she had submitted her resignation to President Joe Biden. Her departure came amid a backlash from a section of Kenyans who had called for her recall to Washington, citing her handling of various issues including perceived silence on corruption, extrajudicial killings and abductions. The criticism intensified after the June Gen Z movement protest, during which dozens were killed by police and many others were arrested. In a statement, Whitman highlighted her role in facilitating President Ruto's recent U.S. state visit among key successes. And 16 people were Tuesday evening injured following a fire incident at Kitui village in Majengo, Nairobi. The Red Cross said in an update dozens of households are affected by the inferno. The news broke even as heavy rains were pounding Nairobi and its environs. And the Council of Governors has termed misleading claims by National Treasury CS John Mbadi that all shareable revenue due to counties in the current financial year has been disbursed. Speaking in Kakamega County a day after the CS made the assurance, Chair of the Finance Committee of the Council of Governors Fernandez Baraza said monies for September are yet to reflect in counties' accounts. The governor lamented about excessive red tape and bureaucracy, which he said results in untimely transmission of county funds from the national government to the devolved units. And the National Assembly Committee on Cohesion and Equal Opportunities will conduct an inquiry into allegations of mismanagement in the Office of the Auditor General. The committee will move to establish whether claims such as abuse of office, corruption, tribalism, favoritism and mismanagement at AG's office are true. The claims were raised by a section of the staff at the audit office. During the session chaired by Kasipul MP Charles Wairimu, lawmakers noted that the allegations by the staff were grievous and could only be investigated through an inquiry. Were explained that the petitions should be presented to the Public Petitions Committee for thorough consideration. And the House team has approved a proposed law which, if enacted, would see the Education Cabinet Secretary and Public Service Commission locked out of appointment of chancellors over public universities. National Assembly Education Committee approved the proposal by Kilifi North MP Owen Baya, paving the way for University Senate to directly engage the President in the appointments. The committee wants the plenary to approve a suggestion that the recruitment begins 6 months before the lapse of an incumbent's tenure. It is envisaged that the amendments will ensure reasonable timelines to prevent undue delays in filling vacancies within the office of the Chancellor. Now, heavy rains are expected in many parts of Kenya this week. According to the weatherman, November is the peak month for short rain season. The ongoing downpour will continue throughout the month with varying intensities and some breaks. Kennedy Thiong, the Deputy Director of Climate Services at the Kenya Meteorological Department, says some places will experience heavy storms this week. The 5-day forecast comes as weather agencies around the world pushed back the start of La Nina, which brings dry weather to Kenya. The U.S. Climate Prediction Center said La Nina is still in the cards, but it will be weak and short. Now, the opposition leader of the self-declared Republic of Somaliland, Abdirahman Mohamed Abdullahi, has won the territory's presidential election. More popularly known as Iro, he won with 64% of the vote to become Somaliland's 6th president since it broke away from Somalia in 1991. The 69-year-old, a former speaker of Somaliland's parliament, beat incumbent Musa Abdi Bihi, who took 35% of the vote. During campaigning, Iro said his party would review a controversial deal to lease landlocked Ethiopia a 20-kilometer section of its coastline for 50 years to set up a naval base, an agreement that has caused a diplomatic feud in the region. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today, very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. Yeah. It is very, very skewed.
We just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry. Hapo.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyan.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. It gets over
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
What the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
There's no traffic on Mombasa Road this morning, so that's a good thing. You might find some around Lusaka Road, Langata Road at that junction, getting towards the Nyeri Stadium roundabout. But apart from that, as you're coming in all the way from Syokimau through towards Let's even start from Mlolongo. Mlolongo all the way, Syokimau, out, Imaradaima, Capital Center, get to Huru Highway, no thing. Where you will find traffic this morning, however, is crossing over from towards Ngong Road. There's some traffic on Langata Road as you get towards the roundabout at the City Mortuary. And on the Thika Superhighway, there's traffic. That one we won't even lie, because Githurai is giving properly this morning, all the way through on the Thika Superhighway out towards Survey. Kiambu Road, even more with traffic all the way through towards the DCI headquarters. And there's Limuru Road traffic coming into the city. All that is pretty heavy. The Red Hill Link Road, which normally should be your escape, not so much this morning. James Gishiro has piled up quite some coming in from a road I cannot pronounce. That road. There's traffic there this morning. We're going to keep an eye on things this morning and see how it all opens up. It's a bit still slippery, so that's why probably folks are taking it easy. Let's keep an eye and let us know what's going on where you are. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X hashtag The Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
10 minutes after 8, how are you doing? On to the third of The Situation Room this morning. Asante sana for keeping it locked. On Kenya's biggest conversation, we are going to continue having this. So there's an advert in today's paper, and this is by the Parliament of Kenya, the 13th Parliament. Whereas Article 132(1)(b) of the Constitution requires the President to address a special sitting of Parliament once every year, and whereas, following a notification by His Excellency Honorable William Samoei Ruto, PhD, CGH, the President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Kenya Defence Forces, the Speaker of the National Assembly and the Speaker of the Senate have scheduled a special sitting of the Houses of Parliament to take place on Thursday, 21st of November, commencing 2:30 p.m. for purposes of the President's address. Further, the standing orders of the National Assembly and those of the Senate require the Speakers of the Houses of Parliament to notify members of the place, date and time of a special sitting of the Houses. Now, therefore, all members of Parliament and the general public are hereby notified that a special sitting of Parliament shall be held in the National Assembly Chamber, main Parliament buildings, tomorrow, Thursday 21st at 2:30 p.m. For what? For the President's State of the Nation address. This is not one of those whimsical things. No, it's a constitutional requirement that there shall be a State of the Nation address. Okay? Ndu? If you open that Constitution of Kenya and you look for Article 132(1)(b), you shall tell us what the State of the Nation address should be all about. Is it where the President comes and says, on 132, Sub-Article 1(b), is it where the President comes and just tells us, oh, Kenyan, my fellow Kenyans, my fellow countrymen, I believe, and it shall be, or are there specific requirements of this?
According to the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya, 132 is the article.
Yes.
And it is directly related to functions of the President.
Okay.
Sub-Article 1, the President shall, A, address the opening of a newly elected Parliament.
Okay.
That aside.
Yes.
B, address a special sitting of Parliament once every year and may address Parliament at any other time. And C, this is probably what we are looking at now, once every year, report in an address to the nation on all the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of national values referred to in Article 10, publish in the Gazette the details of the measures and progress under subparagraph 1, and 3, submit a report for debate to the National Assembly on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic.
Okay.
Sawa.
So this is what the State of the Nation address should be about. Number 1, report in an address to the nation.
Yes.
The measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values referred to in Article 10.
Yes.
Publish in the Gazette the details of those measures and submit a report to be debated by Parliament. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Higher. Does it say anything about manifesto? Is there a word like manifesto?
No.
Is there? So it is Article 10. What is Article 10?
I can find it for you if you
Please
just give me one more.
Please get Article 10. Article 10 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya.
Right.
Because, we saw we are just clear.
Allow me to tell you what Article 10 of the Constitution of the Republic of Kenya says. Thusly, national values and principles of governance, okay? The national values and principles of governance in this article bind all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons whenever any of them, number 1, applies or interprets this constitution. So these principles apply to you.
Okay.
If you interpret the constitution,
all right,
it enacts, applies, or interprets any law. So anybody which enacts, applies, or interprets the law, these values and principles of governance apply to
you.
If you make or implement public policy decisions,
they do apply
these
to you.
Values and principles of governance apply to you. Now, A, B, and C, you can decide where those are.
Okay.
The national values and principles of governance include A, patriotism, national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people.
Okay.
Okay. B, human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, and protection of the marginalized.
Okay.
C, good governance, integrity, transparency, and accountability. And D, sustainable development.
Okay.
Do you understand?
So when the president makes that once a year address,
yes,
and not just address, but submit a report to Parliament, it should answer these things.
It should be on these issues.
Should tell us the measures that he and his government have taken and the progress made to advance patriotism, advance national unity, sharing and devolution of power, the rule of law, democracy, and participation of the people.
Yes, please.
It will be keen for us to actually listen and hear when it comes to, for example, the rule of law and participation of the people. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
What has the government done to advance that the people can participate, that there's a rule of law, that, in terms of security, national security and such, okay? Devolution, that now we are not going to an address of Parliament by the President when counties are threatening to shut down. How have you advanced sharing and devolution of power?
Yes.
How have you advanced human dignity, equity, social justice, inclusiveness, equality, human rights, non-discrimination, protection of the marginalized?
Like what?
How have you promoted good governance, integrity, transparency, accountability, sustainable development?
Yes.
So these are things, come to tell us our stories.
No, please.
If they don't tick any of these things,
Don't
you're answering your own exam.
You've written it, you've injulated it, you've
Yep.
written it, you've marked it by yourself.
Yep.
Because the Constitution is very clear. The reason why you're doing this in the first place is because it has been asked of you by the Constitution that once every year you should actually talk to the people about what you have done in this area. If you want to talk about other things, call your own Kamkunji. But don't do this and call it the State of the Nation. State of the Nation has been requested of you by the Constitution, and these are the things that you should be talking about. Kenyans should be, like you say, keen to note, what have you done about human dignity? We spoke about a sanitation issue this morning. We spoke about toilets. We spoke about marginalized people. We spoke about that. What have you done in the last 1 year that is going to show Kenyans that actually these things have been done, they've been realized, they've been actualized, they have been implemented? That's what constitutionalism is about. That when we actually see some of these things and you hear people making statements in public, you can actually always refer to the Constitution and say, are we in line with what the Constitution? Remember, put about by Kenyans and different groups who said it is necessary for these things to be done in this manner. So why would you run away from it in the future and say, okay, State of the Nation went off its rocker talking about somebody else? You should be able to come back and say, hold on a minute. Constitution, which we all put together in 2010, has said that this is what we require of you on a yearly basis. If you go outside of it, you can actually ask and say, no, please come and address us based on
the Constitution. And the reason why we are raising this is because what we've seen with President Uhuru Kenyatta and what we have now seen with President William Ruto is that there's a tendency to come and report on the realization, the delivery of a manifesto. All well and good. Okay? All well and good. Honorable members, when we were elected, we promised Kenyans this, and the other. And this is the basis upon which Kenyans voted for us overwhelmingly. All well and good, but how do they tie to this? The report is, what have we done to promote integrity, transparency, accountability, good governance, human dignity, patriotism, national unity? Can you say that, this is it? This is, in the last 1 year, this is the state of the nation on these particular matters was this, based on a report by the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights when it comes to rights, based on reports by, the Commission on Administrative Justice, the Ombudsman, this is it, based on the report by the National Cohesion and Integration Commission about inclusivity, this is it, based on a report by the Independent Policing Oversight Authority in terms of, observance of human rights, and this is it, based on a report by the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission on matters of corruption and fighting corruption, this is it, based on report. Those are the ones. This was how we began the year, and this is how we are closing the year. These institutions, as you've seen, have reported improvement, non-improvement, or a drop. And this is the explanation for it. Mambo ingine yote.
Ngana Chief.
It's interesting when you look at just how comprehensive our constitution has been regarding matters that deal directly with the welfare and the rights of the citizenry, and also the function and the duties that those who are elected as political leaders are. And when you measure the performance, whether it is of Parliament or both houses, and you measure the performance of the executive, or you measure the performance of, let's say, all three arms of government, it is not a backdrop of a wish list. It's against the backdrop of what the Constitution has stated categorically. But what I was wondering is, what then does the Constitution say if these are not met? If it is clear that everything that the Constitution expects the leadership to uphold is not upheld, then what? Do we push it on to the next year, hoping that things will improve, and that when we then have a State of the Nation address, that will be told that we didn't quite make it last year, but this particular year we've done a lot better, and this is where we are? But we will hear, we will know, we will see.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I guess an overarching question, or maybe it would be an underlying one, is then how seriously is the Constitution taken? Because it is the supreme law. Is that it is one of reference. That if you're ever confused, you can always go back and say, what does the Constitution say about what I'm supposed to be doing, how I'm supposed to govern, or what I'm supposed to do? But how often do we use it, or how often is it used by any sovereign state as a point of reference to be your, your guiding light, to say, can I come back to this thing and say, if I'm not doing things according to what this document says, that it is sovereign, then it should at least be able to bring me back to a linear position. How often is it used as a point of reference, or is it just a suggestion? Sort of those old dusty books that's kept on the back shelf, and you say, okay, well, you can quote it because it sounds nice. Every time you say constitutionality or constitutionalism, it sounds nice. But in terms of really abiding by that law, how often is that used? And when is it used as a point of reference to say, hold on, that this is what the Constitution says, this is what we agreed that we would do. And if I'm going outside of the lines, am I allowing this thing to pull me back? How often do we? And I think that would be the question here.
Many a time, I think the Constitution, if we're to go by our lived experience and the way our elected leaders respond to the Constitution, is considered an inconvenience. Yes, something that you must look for ways of circumventing or going around. Unfortunately, the Constitution isn't going anywhere. Yes. And we just haven't gotten to terms. We haven't come to terms and the grips of understanding just how to judge everything we do with the Constitution. But we're getting there. We're getting there. We're beginning to understand the Constitution better. And we're getting to understand the standard by which we must hold those whom we have elected to account.
And now the ball then goes to Parliament, all right? Because Parliament is the one that's expected to debate this, as we are reading in the Constitution, and that is the basis upon which the speakers of the National Assembly and the Senate have declared tomorrow afternoon a special sitting of Parliament, is that the President shall address a special sitting of Parliament once every year. Shall address once every year and may address at any other time. But this once every year is non-negotiable. And also the Constitution says that once every year, the President shall report in an address to the nation on all the measures taken and the progress achieved in the realization of the national values. Publish in the Gazette notice the details of the measures and submit a report for debate to the National Assembly on the progress made in fulfilling international obligations of the Republic. Okay? So, and when this address is then made, and the President speaks in Parliament, what is expected of him? And shall members of Parliament then say, okay, so he's come, he's addressed us, but we have not met here, we've not met a couple of issues here and there, because this is one part of, one could argue that 132B and 132C are not related. That, 132B is addressing a sitting of Parliament, and 132C is once every year reporting an address to the nation on all measures taken on the progress. Someone could come here with an argument and say this one is the Jamhuri Day speech.
Well, they can. They could even say it is Labor Day speech. I mean, they can choose the day that they want to attach this thing to. But you see, all these things that are mentioned, there is none which is less than the other.
No.
And there is none that you must exclude or can exclude. They have all to be fulfilled.
Absolutely.
Not some, not a majority, not 3 out of 5. All, literally.
It's a shall.
All.
It's a shall. So you have an obligation to, and you're held and bound by this, that you should do this.
And it binds all state organs, state officers, public officers, and all persons. Yes. I mean, there's no wiggling room out of this one here.
No. And that's the thing, that it is not an address about, whatever you want it to be, pie in the sky kind of conversation. It is an address relating directly to these things, that you then must come and tell Kenyans what you have done about patriotism, national unity, etc., human dignity, equity, social justice, good governance, sustainable development, that you must come and say, this is what we have been able to do in this term of governance administration about these matters. Anything outside of that, you can then go to Farah Stadium, choose and do a rally. Choose another day.
Yes.
Choose another time. Go and Kamkunji, whatever.
It's all right.
That's fine. Nobody's going to have an issue with that. But you're bound to tell Kenyans what you have done about these issues. This State of the Nation is what you should be. This is what you should be discussing in the State of the Nation. Anything else, don't call it State of the Nation address. Am I wrong?
No, you're not. In fact, these are the matters that you may think are important, and they could be important. You can actually even go back to Parliament.
If you want, do they shut you out and say, no, it's not the State of the Nation, you can't come here today?
You can go back.
Yeah, okay.
You can go back and address the other issues. But those other issues will not be part of the state. Because whatever it is that comprises the State of the Nation, it's clear. Yes. The ifs and buts don't actually feature here.
No.
Not really.
No.
So we have invited the chairman of the National Council of Churches of Kenya, the Reverend Dr. Elias Otieno Agola, who is stuck in traffic, but he's on the way. He says it's coming. And this is to look at the church has come out to speak once again. That is forming actually the basis of the headlines in the papers today. No holds barred. And the Standard has that big headline there, no holds barred. Nairobi Archbishop Philip Anyolo's rejection of more than 5 million shillings of President William Ruto's donation to the Soweto Catholic Church did not surprise those who know him. They say, well, this is what we expect of him. So when the Reverend Dr. Agola comes here, we'll continue this conversation. Clergy turn up the heat amid debate on Ruto's rejected millions. The church is on a roll. Major Christian denominations have united against the Kenya Kwanzaa administration, accusing it of perpetrating various vices that have worsened the lives of millions of Kenyans. The Nairobi Catholic Archdiocese's rejection of 5.6 million donation from President Ruto and a subsequent statement by the Anglican Church of Kenya censuring the state have intensified pressure for accountability and good governance by the clergy. Still reeling from a stinging statement from the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops, the president suffered another blow after the rejection of his donation and that of Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja. The clergy have come out to raise these particular issues, and they're saying this is how far we are willing to go on this particular matter, right? This is enough is enough was a statement yesterday by the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Let me actually just get that statement from NCCK. And what the NCCK was saying in their statement was, enough is enough. The church remains the trusted voice of the Kenyans. As the prophetic voice of the people, the church calls on leaders to uphold justice and fairness. We urge acknowledgement of our role in advocating for the welfare of Wananchi. The church's voice must be respected as it echoes the will and needs of the people. On matters of abductions, immediate action is needed to curb enforced disappearances. Healthcare, we reject the transition from NHIF to SHIF without clear benefits to citizens. Education, ensure smooth, transparent shift from 844 to CBC. Prioritize serving the interest of voters, not personal or political gain or the value for the electorate. The church stands vigilant and will hold leaders accountable in the fight against corruption. Taxation, address the imbalance between high taxes and reported low collection of rates. Civic responsibility, the citizens must remain engaged and proactive in holding leaders accountable, and so on and so forth. This is, what the church is now saying. Some are saying, hey, where did the church find its voice?
The voice was always there. I think if you were asking for a segment of the society that was giving the government time, you could argue it is the church. They listened, they watched, they saw, they listened, they watched. And by the time they figured that, look, it's about time we raised our voices, the voices hadn't gone anywhere. That's why they were just raising it. It was there. They'd probably been making suggestions, trying to find quieter ways of dealing with this, trying to look for ways in which you can actually whisper in someone's ear and say, look, perhaps we need to do this differently. By the time an organized group of individuals like the religious groups, what we call the church or the Council of Imams, by the time they speak in one voice, it's not, they didn't wake up in the morning and decided to speak.
No.
They've thought about it. They probably selected and tried to pursue other avenues of communicating the same message, and the response they got is what brought about now what we now see.
Yeah. I think it would be a tad unfair, and I think I saw that coming out, to say that the church had been silent about some of these things because we heard the rumblings and we saw the statements that were made. But I think now with this one voice in concert saying that, essentially, what's the message here? That the way things have been going, number one, is unacceptable. And number two, if it is allowed for them to continue in that trajectory, it would be damning to the nation. And saying, you know what, before the thing is submerged completely, you who's at the reins, take control of the reins and set this thing back on course. In no uncertain terms, that's exactly what has been said. And they have an obligation, whichever way you want to look at it, in terms of moral governance, in terms of spiritual guidance, whatever it is, they do have an obligation. And for them to come together in the way in which they did, it is not child's play or, okay, well, we don't have anything to do on a Monday afternoon. No. It was clear that, okay, we have to put in our voice into this thing before the whole ship sinks.
They actually mandated. It is their duty to actually speak out.
Exactly.
Not whisper. Speak.
Boldly.
Yes, it is their duty to speak out. You see, it brings then the question of one must ask. Does the government have wiggling room, or is that wiggling room reducing by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month? Because there's a point at which whatever it is you thought was room to maneuver, forget getting tighter. There's a time it actually vanishes. Because there's a reality that must be faced, and that reality cannot be addressed by words, because it is by words that these issues have been addressed. You're now at a point where certain things have to be done. Now, does this government have the wherewithal to actually do what needs to be done?
Where? 27 minutes to 9. That's a very, very, very important question that you're asking. 27 to 9. Let's take a break. We'll be back shortly. Kenya's biggest conversation live on Spice, on KTN, on YouTube, Facebook, X, TikTok, Radio Garden, everywhere.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Benefit from expert investment advisory approach. At Standard Chartered Priority Banking, you have access to expert guidance and personalization. Through their robust SC Wealth Select advisory framework, they help you grow your wealth for today, tomorrow, and forever. Achieve your goals with Standard Chartered's expertise. Email prioritybanking.ke@sc.com today.
Yes. New Life Prayer Center and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
CT Muga.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It's a wet morning in Nairobi, 18 degrees. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 16. It's partly sunny at 18 in Nakuru with highs of 25. Highs of 24 and mostly cloudy in Nyeri at 18. And it's 18 and cloudy in Eldoret with highs of 24. Sunny at 28 in Mombasa and 28 in Malindi. It's 24 and mostly sunny in Kisumu with highs of 29. And at 22, sunny in Kakamega with highs of 28. We're looking at sunny conditions at 22 in Kampala with highs of 27. While at 25, Dar es Salaam is sunny, going to highs of 31. It's a sunny morning in Johannesburg at 19, and at 29 it's sunny in Mogadishu with 15 and sunny conditions in Addis Ababa. Lagos is clear at 26 and Kinshasa sunny at 23.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, 23 minutes to 9. Our conversation continues and our guest has arrived. The Reverend Dr. Elias Otieno Agola is the chairman of the National Council of Churches of Kenya. Hujambo.
Sijambo sana.
Karibu sana for joining us.
Asante.
You found some traffic. You can give us the traffic update. Where was the traffic?
Oh, yes. I don't know whether I qualify to give the traffic update, but it was crazy. Mombasa Road there.
Mombasa Road coming here.
At last I'm here.
Pole sana, yes, welcome.
Thank you.
So City will give you the day's proverb, and then let's hear your interpretation of it as we get into the conversation for the 20 minutes.
Well, our proverb for this week from the Republic of Burundi. Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
That's a proverb for the day.
Okay. Giving the preacher proverb about hope.
My hope is built on nothing less.
Yeah.
Righteousness.
What's the interpretation of this, Bishop?
Hope does not have to be built on tangible things. Yes and no, but I would say that hope is something that keeps you going, keeps you alive, and hope is something that gives you the trust that that tangible thing can come. In Hebrews chapter 11 verse 1, it says, faith is the substance of the things that are hoped for, the assurance of things that have not yet been seen. And therefore that means that hope goes with the genuinity of what comes out of what you say. So that in the end, you are not interpreted to be lying or unsure of what you are saying.
Okay, that's a good one. You released a statement yesterday as chair of the NCCK,
Yes.
where you said enough is enough.
Yes.
The church remains the trusted voice of the Wananchi.
True.
And among the issues that you mentioned here, prophetic voice, abductions, healthcare, education, value for the electorate, corruption, taxation, civic responsibility, and you conclude by saying, leaders act now with integrity and honor, for the church will continue to stand firm as the voice and the defender of Wananchi.
Yes.
This is reflective of what the Catholic bishops said last week, reflective of what one of your members, the Anglican Church of Kenya, has also said.
Yes.
What's the church saying? What is the church saying?
The church is saying exactly what I said. And
enough is enough.
Yes, enough is enough. The church is saying that we have continued to talk, and we have continued to raise our voices, and we have continued to make the needs of the citizens, the Wananchi, be known by anybody who is supposed to hear them. And we've talked to the right people, meaning the people who have the power and the authority to make change and to cause things work. So rhetorics do not have space now in Kenya, when the church is stepping into the space and saying, we've talked behind the tent. Now it is time for everybody to know that this is what we have been saying. And that means that, and you all can recall in this republic, the church has always been seen sometimes to be very close to power. The church has never been very close to power. The church has kept its safe distance, where we talk when we are supposed to, and we talk where we are supposed to, and to whom we are supposed to. We recognize that we have so many leaders in this country, not only the political leaders, religious leaders are leaders. And for that matter, we are very close to the people, because everywhere you go, you will find a religious institution. And these religious institutions are ministering to people daily, and listening to the voices of the people, seeing the miseries of the people. And we are also part of everything that goes on. If it is taxation, we, as the church, we also pay taxes. We pay, we have religious institutions, we have educational institutions, we have healthcare institutions. And so what is pressing the entire population of Kenya is pressing the church. And as the leaders near the people, we become the conscience of the unconscious, we become the voice of the voiceless, and we cannot afford to side with the oppressor.
Are you saying that we are dealing with an oppressor?
I've just said it.
Okay.
That any system that is not valuing the one that put them to power, the one with the sovereignty, is oppressing.
Are you saying that your conversations behind the tent have not borne fruit. So this so-called oppressor has not been listening?
That's the truth. Then the truth of the matter is we are not talking of things that are not known. The Roman Catholic bishops had a talk with the people who are supposed to act. The NCCK, we have had a forum with the people who are supposed to act. The Interreligious Council of Kenya have also had a sitting. So when these sittings, which have been interpreted sometimes as we are too close to power, don't bear fruit, then we go ahead and issue statements now in public, because the private talk was not listened to. So when we are coming to talk, we are coming to talk out because what we said in private is not listened to, and therefore people should know that we are not that quiet, and that we are not just too close to power. We are speaking sense to power. We talk when we are supposed to, and we do it how we are supposed to, with all respect. And if that is not done, then when somebody asks you, have you talked? Then you should now say, I have talked. Yeah.
So the statement that came out yesterday, Reverend, was very clear. And that was that enough is enough. And usually when we hear something like that, it's that, you've had it and you've reached the very end of the tether.
Yeah.
So if the church, the moral compass of society, the one who is close to power, whether we want to look at it that way or not, the one who is close to power in terms of guidance, has said, you know what, the way in which governance and administration of the nation across elements is not working, and now says enough is enough. What's that to mean? What's that to mean?
Enough is enough just says that you want us to still talk, we are ready for it, but you should be prepared for anything that comes out of that if you do not change. Because Catholic bishops said that there's so many things that are going on that have eroded the integrity of leadership, the integrity of service. And the book that you give us, the editor says, change this, change this, change this other one. The accounts that you gave us, the auditor is saying that you need to change this, act this way, because your audit shows that you are repeating things every now and then and blaming others for that. Who has the power, the authority to act? Is it not the one that is saying that please tone down on us and do not tone down on us and do not hit us hard? But at the same time, you send people like the likes of those two politicians who reacted shiftily on the statement by the bishops. Did they act from a point of their own, or did they act from a point of being sent? We are saying that we are the voice. And when we tell you enough is enough, we are saying the people are saying enough is enough. What if we experience some of the things that have been there in the past, like the Mandamanos, the Gen Z, Occupy? Are we going to say the church did not tell you? Are we going to say the church did not talk? We are here saying that punda imechoka. You cannot tell us that you cannot impose a lot of taxes in a very short time on people and then give another report saying that the tax collection has gone down. That is a contradiction. Where has the taxes gone to? Is there a hole where it goes to and it is not recorded? Or is it that people don't have money Or is it that people have now learned the skills of avoiding and evading taxes? We are only saying that we don't want to go to the dark ages where abductions became the order of the day. People disappear, families are left orphaned and so on. And if somebody is going to raise a voice, is it going to be taken as a constructive voice, or how is it going to be taken? Because that is where we are today. Look at what is happening in the universities. The other day, and I'm sure you know this story, there's a girl who cried profusely. And my tears also rolled at the same time when this girl says, the people in the university today were in class 4 when I joined the university. And it's not my fault that I've not graduated. It is that the systems are not working. The systems are not supporting me. And she went ahead and said, look, I was the top girl, the top person in my county. But here I am. All the aspirations, the dreams that everybody had, including me, are now draining. What is this that is happening? If education cannot work, healthcare, look at what is happening. How many people am I going to bury? And how many people are my clergy going to bury? Just because they went to the hospital and the efficiency of the newly introduced social health insurance fund that is different from National Health Insurance Fund is not working. Why is it not working? Why introduce something that you have not taken the burden to explain to Kenyans? Today, you hear people say it is only N that is replaced by S. That is not true, because the other one was National Health Hospital Insurance Fund. Yes. This other one is National Social Health Insurance Fund. There is a whole difference, even in terminology, a whole difference in operation. Who has taken the bother to let people know this? We talked to the minister the other day, the former minister for health, and we told them, if you want this thing to reach to people, include the people, the other leaders who are at grassroots, and that is the religious community. That entered this year and got away from the other year. And it was never done. So when you don't do public participation, then where are you going to hear the feedback from the people? We are here to let every leader in this country understand that the people we are leading are tired.
Do you think they're getting it? So let's take back into, May, months leading up to June this year.
Yeah.
When there was proper public outcry against the proposed new taxation. And it brought also other issues that have been happening in government. And the response by the president and those in leadership, forming of a broad-based government and moving forward and saying, now let's have a very all-inclusive kind of government. To the statement by the Kenya Catholic bishops, the Conference of Catholic Bishops, and the response that we get from politicians around the president, but the president himself and his deputy, who come out and say, we've heard you, but this is what we've been trying to do, trying to explain with the Social Health Authority, this is it. With housing, this is it. With taxation, this is where we are at. And explaining and coming forward. The president's anticipated speech before Parliament tomorrow. Basically, from the statements of the people, and now the clergy joining, the religious leaders joining, and the response from the government, is it showing you a government that is hearing what you're saying?
There is the difference between hearing and understanding. And even in understanding, there are two ways of understanding. There's two ways of listening also. Let me go by listening. When you listen to respond, it's different from when you listen to understand. So when you tell me you hear me, and when you tell me you you have listened to me. I should not just go and be happy to say somebody listened. I should interrogate and say, did they listen to understand, or did they listen so that they can respond?
Which is which? What do you think we have in this case?
We have the listening to respond. Responding here is giving me what was in your mind, but not understanding what I was asking. The Gen Zs were raising issues. Somebody was listening to understand. Today the church is also not to understand, listening to respond. Today the church is raising issues. I have said in that statement again that we cannot all be wrong. That the PCA church is saying this through their moderator. The same thing. The Anglicans are also saying it. A collection of all the Anglican bishops, a collection of all the business committee of PCA, which is representative, including even from Tanzania and Uganda and in the diaspora. And here we say something is wrong. The NCCK bringing together over 38 and representing over 17 million Kenyans, telling you that this is wrong. We are saying the same thing. Then we have even the Muslims are also saying the same thing. We cannot all be wrong. Somebody should listen to us to understand what we are saying, not to respond to what we are saying and giving us even other people to just begin responding to church. And we do not want blackmail, where when we say this, tomorrow you appear in our church, where you don't even go every time. And you appear there to blackmail us so that we can see that you are around us. The church is the voice. And we have been in the voice, you know, the struggle for independence. There were some churches that were blacklisted. We also know what happened in the 90s when some of our colleagues also lost their lives because they were raising issues. Our question is, are these abductions going to flow into any other voice? The Gen Zs were abducted, killed, maimed, given orders to shoot and kill. And those families are still in that grief. Nobody talks about them. We do not want careless statements in Kenya. We just want action. Somebody said that corruption is taking 2 billion. It was said in the other regime. It is now being said now. Now, if you know, if that hole is sealed, then we are not going to have this huge debt that we are having. Then what are we talking about?
Why
We're talking about
the hole?
You are happy to see the hole. Maybe because you have a anduano. What is anduano?
Fishing hook.
The fishing hook, where you are fishing from the hole. So you don't need it cleaned. You don't need it sealed. We are just saying, act now.
What should be done? And I think very clearly, you know, there's often the accusations that come, Reverend, that people say, well, we can see the problem. We know there's a problem here. We know there's a problem here. What should be done? And there have been some very radical suggestions that have come from very many voices, at least since June. But from the voice that you speak of, the voice, the compass, the moral compass of society, what should the solution be to these problems that we're seeing across board in the country?
What should be done is sweep to take outside. Don't sweep to bring back to the house. There was a suggestion that the cabinet should be cleaned. Was it cleaned?
No, it wasn't.
There is another suggestion that we need to look into the issues of corruption. Have we been looking into them? Sweep outside.
Sweep to take outside.
Clean properly. don't just do it to massage the egos of the public. The public can reorganize.
What if they don't sweep?
If they don't sweep, enough is enough. And that's what people are saying.
Meaning what, Reverend? Are you saying, what are you saying? So enough is enough means that we don't have room for tomorrow.
I'm saying the enough is enough means we have room for tomorrow. Enough is enough means be prepared when people say this is what they are going to do. Groups are, it is true that we can always say that we know what is happening, we have intelligence, we have all this. But the truth of the matter is, in this era and age, people can mobilize themselves just like that, spontaneously. It happened and we saw it, how people are mobilizing themselves in the name of Gen Zs. And we do not want such a reputation. We would want the president, we would want the leadership, we would want everybody who is in leadership to act now and say, if it is within my influence, I should make that difference. I should use the authority I have, I should use the structures I have, the agencies I have to help me well. But I am not sure that sometimes when we are advised as leaders, we take the advice. The decision is yours, and that is true. But how about my piece of advice? Was it supposed to be considered as part of your decision making? And will it become part of your product in the decision? I know if we have advised in private, we don't need to come to the public. If our advice is taken and we can see something is going on, we also know that not everything will be introduced, whatever advice we give will be taken. But why introduce everything today, and why choose to listen to other things today again?
Reverend Dr. Elias Ogola, it's top of the hour, but I've got to ask you this question.
Yeah.
So the people came out, they spoke. The clergy has been speaking to those in leadership behind the tent, using the informal channels that you have open to you. But you've come to a point where you all are saying enough is enough. What we have been saying has not been heeded. What action we've been calling for is not being taken. Okay? So we don't have an election until 2027. We don't have an IEBC in office today. If the people who are supposed to sweep don't sweep, what are you telling the people to do? Because you're the voice of the people. What are you telling the Wananchi to do? The people who should be sweeping are not sweeping. So what?
We are simply asking the sweepers to tell us why they are not sweeping.
And if they don't?
We would want them to tell us, why don't we have an IBC, the commissioners as they are supposed to be? We are asking them to tell us, what is it that they are afraid of? We are asking them to tell us whether they understand the word sovereignty of the people. We are asking them to tell us whether they are students of history. We are asking them to tell us whether they understand that the church is raising pertinent issues that are touching on the lives of Kenyans. We cannot be saying no to this and then it is reintroduced. The Gen Z said no to the finance bill. I am sure that Kenyans who are students of current affairs know that 4 bills are being introduced into the parliament to sanitize the rejected finance bill. We also know that people are not listening because maybe they want to take control arbitrarily by introducing more and more taxes in the guise of we are raising funds locally. But at the same time, we know what has happened to our airports. We know what has happened in Kengen. We know what is happening in our electricity, the supplies. We know all these things. As leaders in this country, we are saying politicians are not the only leaders in this country. Politicians are not the only leaders in this country.
Leave it there. Reverend Dr. Elias Otieno Agola is the chairman of the National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, which brings together how many churches?
Over 38.
More than 38 churches, representing over how many million people?
17 million people.
It's 4 minutes after 9. Let's get the news.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is News. I'm Dennis Aseto. The government is now collecting 400 billion shillings from e-citizen alongside other immigration functions. This is according to Immigration Principal Secretary Professor Julius Bitok. The PS further revealed that about 18,000 services are now offered on e-citizen. Bitok said there has been a huge leap in the cash collection following the government's deliberate move to put most of the services on the digital platform. The PS was speaking when he hosted Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and Acting Interior and National Coordination Cabinet Secretary Nyeri House. He noted that Kenya has surpassed Rwanda with about 700 online services alongside other countries like India and most of the European countries, which have less than 500 such functions digitally. Laikipia Senator John Kinyua is the first major casualty as the purge of former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua's allies begins in Parliament. Kinyua, who has served on the influential Parliamentary Service Commission for nearly 2 years, was reportedly forced to resign from his position last week under pressure from political forces. Kinyua was among several senators from the Mount Kenya region who opposed the impeachment of former DP Gachagua in the Senate. It is believed that lawmakers who resisted the motion are now facing retribution, with the rumors swirling that they will be removed from key leadership positions in parliamentary committees. Now, Uganda opposition leader Kizza Besigye was traced to a military detention center after he went missing in Nairobi Saturday, November 16th. He was later traced to a military detention center in Kampala, Uganda, according to his wife, Winnie Byanyima. It is not clear who was behind the incident. He had come to Nairobi to attend an event organized by NAC Kenya leader Martha Karua. Byanyima, who is an executive director of the Joint United Nations program on HIV/AIDS, asked Uganda's military to release her husband Besigye from military detention in Kampala, where he is reportedly being held. The motive behind the incident is not yet clear. Former Prime Minister Raila Odinga's ODM party has issued a stark warning to members against any form of violence during the grassroots elections slated for November 27th. In a dispatch to newsrooms, ODM's National Elections Coordination Board called for discipline during the one-day exercise. This is the first time the party is going to elections without Raila, who is a candidate for the African Union Commission chairperson seat. The former premier relinquished his position to concentrate on the continental job. NEC chairperson Emilia Wita threatened action against leaders and supporters of the party who will engage in acts of violence. And security officers in Teso Sub-County, Busia County, have so far arrested 18 youths suspected of being members of illegal gang that have terrorized citizens. Teso South Police Commander Francis Gashoki says 9 other youths were arrested last week. He also said they managed to seize 31 rolls of marijuana alongside crude weapons, including machetes and knives believed to be used in committing crimes.
Kwa vijana wamejifungia kwa room ambayo walikuwa wanafuta mbangi wakiwa na mapanga, wakipanga vile usiku watafanya hiyo operation yao, pengine ya kukatakata watu na kuibia watu. Wanausi Yesu alikimbia pale na askari hata watu wa DCI, na tukaweza kukamata wa vijana 9. Pia tulikava mbangi misokoto 31 na walikuwa na hii panga machete ambao wamepigilia misumari ya inchi 4 ambayo ni ya kuweza kumomba sigari kwa barabara, na tutaendelea na hii vita mpaka tuangaise hao magenge kabisa.
The commanders want the youth to surrender their weapons or face the full force. It is reported that some have fled to neighboring Uganda.
Lakini ile kitu ningesii ni kwamba ni wananchi wajitokeze na kutupatia habari. So bila kuwa na habari hatuwezi weza kuangamiza hawa majambazi. Wengi wao wakati wameona vita imekuwa kali, tunapata habari ya kwamba wamefuka pande ya Uganda. Lakini kulingana na historia ni kwamba wakati beef up security sana utorokea Uganda kwa muda alafu wanarudi. Lakini wakati huu tuko tayari, tuko na wao hapa kwa hapa. Tutahakikisha yote tutamangamiza na tupeleke mahali wanastahili kuwa ambaye ni katika njera.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
A quick look at traffic shows that Ring Road Kileleshwa then touching on Waiakiwe as well as James Gishuru crossing over to the Red Hill Link Road bumper to bumper. There's also still traffic on Lower Kabete heading out towards Spring Valley and coming down Limuru Road. Quite some traffic still remaining as you try to get into the city. Other parts not so bad, but the thicker superhighway still giving as you come out towards Survey and then through towards Muranga Road and then out towards the Globe Cinema roundabout. That looks like it's going to continue for some time. Jogo Road busy getting out towards Landis, and also as you look at Likoni Road, that whole interchange Lunga, Likoni, and then out on its way towards Enterprise. That continues with busyness as you go ahead. All right, so let's see what happens as we get out of traffic hours soon. It's still drizzling in some parts, and the roads remain slippery, so folks are going to slow down just a tad. We'll talk on SpiceFM KE on X. Hashtag the Situation Room.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
11 after 9, on to the final hour of The Situation Room this morning. And into this hour, we start talking to you about what? About Kenya's best private bank, which is Ndu?
Stanbic. Mm-hmm. All right, voted the best private bank in Kenya for many different reasons, right? So, getting into a spot whereby you can go and sit down and have a conversation with a recognized personal advisor who will be able to walk you through your journey. And Stanbic is saying, there are many ways in which you can do many things. You can bank wisely. You can invest with knowledge and wisdom. You can live joyfully. And you can also leave a legacy in the future with a little money that you put away every now and then. And there's always somebody to hold your hand and guide you through. So, imagine a situation whereby it doesn't matter where you are in the world and you're, starting off from where here you are with Stanbic and moving around the world. Stanbic is going to be right there with you, opening up doors for you when you travel, opening up doors for you when you're investing in education, opening up those doors when you want to have a little bit of luxury in the things that you do, all within the confines of your own privacy. So, get in touch with Stanbic today, open an account with Stanbic, and also find out ways in which you can enjoy the benefits of that bank. Remember, 25,000 shillings is up for grabs. It could be yours this Friday. If you tell us how those elements of living wisely, banking easily, living joyfully, and leaving a legacy have impacted your account, it could be you that walks away with 25,000 shillings into the weekend, courtesy of Stanbic.
25K. 25,000. Way. Now, next week on the 29th of November, that Friday, we will be celebrating the Human Rights Defenders Awards, for 2024. We had Irungo Houghton here last week, and he was telling us about the previous awards and, how people have been picked and nominated. And it actually recognizes people across the country who are doing whatever they're doing in their communities to defend the rights of their fellow human beings. One of those people who is now being celebrated as well as a nominee for this year is Hussein Khalid, CEO of Vocal Africa. Good morning, Hussein.
Morning, Latiff. Happy to be here, the Situation Room, and in the hot seat.
Karibu sana. Congratulations on the nomination.
Oh, thank you. It came as a surprise to me because I thought that, we were through those nominations and stuff like that. We've been in this business for many years and I didn't expect that. So, yeah, it's a good surprise, I guess.
Have you been nominated before?
For these awards?
Yes.
No, because until this year, I used to work for Haki Africa.
Yep.
And Haki Africa was one of the sponsors of the awards. So that meant that we were automatically disqualified because you can't award yourself. So Defenders Coalition, Haki Africa, and I think 2 others were the ones sponsoring these awards. So I left Haki Africa last year. So I guess perhaps that then leaves me open.
It's about time that you got recognized for everything that you've done before.
But of course, we've had other nominations in other, fields. So, yeah, at least it's something that you appreciate because it's okay to get nominated out there, but to get nominated at home, no prophet is accepted at home.
True.
So, or was never. No prophet was accepted at home. So to be here and to be nominated at home by, the defenders who are working with you, I guess it's a good thing. It's a good thing, yeah.
It's a good thing. It feels good to be recognized. City, why don't you recognize Hussein with the day's proverb?
I am going to recognize him thoroughly. Yes. Our proverbs for this week are from the Republic of Burundi. Okay. Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
Hope does not have to be built on tangible things.
Definitely for Kenya, we have no option. We have to have that hope and we have nothing tangible to hold on to, I believe.
We have a country, we have a constitution, we have very many things. We've got rule of law.
We even have do we?
We've got institutions.
Do we?
We have a constitution. Are you saying no, we don't?
We have a constitution, but is the constitution being implemented? Inatekelezwa?
We have the constitution.
Actually, inatekelezwa. Wajua ukienda kinyume cha sheria, what you're doing is you are actually identifying with that law and you're authenticating its existence, because in the absence of its existence, there would be nothing to go against.
That's true.
Yes, that I agree.
That's true. So you've been in this field for many years, defending rights, defending the constitution, defending the rule of law.
Yes.
How many years?
I believe 15, 16 years now. I started off at Clarion, Center for Law and Research International, about 16 years ago. And then I moved to Muhuri. Well, I moved to Kenya Human Rights Commission first, briefly, before I joined Muhuri, Muslims for Human Rights in Mombasa, for a couple of years, then moved to Haki Africa, and now with Vocal Africa. So, yeah, good part of my life.
What led you down this path?
For me, I always say it's life experiences. I grew up in the mid-late 90s. I remember one day I was sent, we were living in the semi-slums of Nairobi, Ngara, Okoh, chini Uko, so I schooled, my high school I did at Jamhuri High School. And one day, I think I was in Form 2 or Form 3, I think, I was sent to go buy meat. In Ngara, the nearest butchery is in town, Okoh River Road and Kirinyaga Road. So you have to cross Zamani Hizo. Yes, exactly. So you have to cross the river and go up and, get to the butchery. So as I was doing that, apparently just around one of the corners, police had set up mtego yao. So anyone who was taking that corner, ulikuwa unachukuliwa, unaekwa hapo. No questions, nothing. You just picked, unaekwa hapo.
As long as you're passing there.
As long as you're passing there.
What time was it?
Around, I think, 10 or 11 in the morning.
Yes.
On a Saturday or Sunday, I don't remember, but it was a weekend because I was at home. Nikamwenda ununue nyama. And for us, nyama was a big thing because we were not well off. So nyama was like, naenda, leo ni nyama, good, So nikashikwa, tukaekwa hapo. There were quite a number of people, like almost 20-30. After like 10-15 minutes, tukaambiwa twendeni. And we were taken through the sewers and, and I was handcuffed. I had no idea what I had done. But wawili, you are handcuffed.
By police?
By police, yeah. And we were taken to Central Police Station. And then sasa kufika huko, now you have to be sorted. The first thing they ask you is, where is your ID? Hauna ID, bas, hiyo ndio makosa sasa. They write there, what's your name? Hauna ID. And you have an ID, they ask you another question. You have that other, whatever they want, they ask you another question, until they find something, and then they book you in. So me, when they called me out...
That's an interesting statement, Khalid. Until they find something
wrong. Not something wrong.
And they will find it.
They will find it, yes. Definitely. I mean,
What was yours?
So me, the first time they call me, wapi ID, kijana? I don't have an ID. I'm a student. Hauna ID? They didn't want even to hear. I'm a student, sina ID. Wapi ID ya shule? It's a Saturday or Sunday. I'm not working. I don't work with my school ID. Aya, weka huyu, an ID alien. And that's it. Yeah. And I went in. I was like, really? My first time, Central Police Station. Well, now nishazoea because nimeingia huko mara nyingi sasa. But that was my first time.
Now it's a job requirement.
And those days, yeah, hakuna mobile, hakuna nini, late 90s, I think. Nothing. So now you're like, okay, what do you do? So I don't know, maybe my family thought kijana amekimbia na pesa ya nyama or what or nini, but sasa kufika usiku wakasema no.
They started looking now.
This can't be right. So nikaanza kutafuta. I had to spend the night there. Until the next morning they decided now wacha tumtafute kwa police stations. Is when they came na wakaambiwa nani? Hussein Khalid. Huyo kijana yuko hapa ni alien yeye. And they had to go get my school ID. And even with my school ID, ikabidi sasa wahongane. And that was our money probably for the whole week. Unajua we were not well off.
The nyama money, by the way, do you still have it in your pocket?
Pesa ya nyama, I had it.
Okay.
Yeah, but sasa nikaambiwa nipeane. They also had to give out more money for absolutely nothing. I had done nothing. I was walking to the butchery. From that time, I was like, no, this can't be right. This can't be right. Now the whole week, we had to struggle, spend some nights even without food because pesa tumepeana, and I really felt bad because I felt guilty, like I'm putting my family through this. But, when you look at it, I had not done anything wrong. So for me, that's where it started, hitting me.
So the bug bit you.
Things are not right in this country. How can we, do this? And then my next experience, still, I think after high school now, a year or two, I was in Luthuli. So Luthuli Avenue. Sasa when you are still in school, you are waiting to join university, una hustle. Unaenda Luthuli, someone wants a TV, unaenda unauliza huko TV ni how much, and then unaenda unamwambia you add your
commission.
Yeah, your commission. So you're in Luthuli Avenue huko Gaborone and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden tunasikia commotion. This jamaa sasa ameshikwa na polisi. And I remember that very clearly, so clearly, it's so fresh in my head as if it was yesterday. And then after kuangalia hivi vizuri, opposite the street, ukianza tu Luthuli, there are those lodgings hapo mwanzo kabla shop. Sasa jamaa amepiga magoti hivi, ameinua mkono. No, on Luthuli Avenue. Luthuli sasa kama unaingia
on the side of River Road.
No, Luthuli Avenue itself. Ile side ya mativi kama unaenda chini huko to join River Road.
Okay.
River Road iko huko chini. Yeah.
Same where buses normally stop and so forth.
Buses ziko huko chini, exactly. Yeah. So this guy yuko hapo chini anaambia munisamee sijafanya kitu na nini, and then there are 2-3 cops just hovering around the guy. Wanaangalia hivi, wanaongeleshana nini. The guy now it's creating a scene. People now are beginning to watch what's happening na nini, watu wanaanza kuangalia. And then just whispering, wanam circle, and then just one guy just came in front of him. Twa. Shot him point blank with everyone, all of us looking. Hivi tu shot him. The first time.
In uniform or plain clothes?
They were in plain clothes. The first time I saw someone being shot dead.
For what?
First time. And the guy had surrendered. Ameinua mikono. Those cops walimzunguka wakiongea for almost 2 minutes before one of them decided, the guy fell down. And everyone watching just reached out kwa koti yake, akatoa another pistol, akaeka hapo.
Huh?
Yes. And then now they started telling people, tokeni hapa, shooting in the air.
Hold on,
disperse people.
Sorry. Who reached where? And
The guy who shot, the cop who shot the guy, reached out kwa koti yake, akatoa pistol, akaeka hapo chini. Another pistol, sio yenye ametumia, akaeka hapo chini. This is not something I was told, or this I saw with my own eyes. I couldn't believe it. I was like, really? Seriously?
This was the 1990s.
Late 90s, yeah, probably 99 or maybe 2000, sikumbuki. And, for me, that was just like the first time nimeona mtu was alive, breathing air, kabisa, and then Evo too, the guy is gone. So these experiences for me, I believe, are the ones that pushed me to say, no. This can't be happening. And we need change in this country. Particularly, I don't know why police are so quick, and since then and up to now, I think the difference is minimal. We still have regime policing. People who are working not because of the law. When I was arrested on Kenyatta Day last month, so why have you arrested me? Ni makosa gani nimefanya? Oh, no. We are waiting for directions. We're waiting for instructions. You are the OCS. You are the officer commanding station. You are waiting for instructions.
From whom?
From whom? Kama nimefanya makosa, there is the law. Charge me, tell me why you've arrested me. But you're following instructions, you're waiting for orders from above. Police no longer operate with the constitution. That's why I'm saying hakuna katiba, hakuna hizi vitu zote. Because if they were there, wangesema tumekushika under article this, the Public Order Act, umefanya hivi na hivi, but you wait for instructions. Charge him with unlawful assembly.
So when the instructions came, what was the charge?
Unlawful assembly, what was it? I think there were 4 charges. Nimezisahau. Moja wao ni unlawful assembly.
Right?
Mashujaa Day, we were to do it at Uhuru Park.
How were incitement?
No, there was no incitement. I don't remember, but ni hizi za mkutano, no permit, unlawful assembly, such kind of stuff.
You say it like you're so used to it now. So, Khalid, my God, it's like, okay, what else can you add into this pot? So 30 odd years ago, things happened, obviously, and today, have you seen a difference in the way things are happening?
I think people say the more things change, the more things stay the same. But we must also take cognizance of the steps we've taken moving forward. Definitely, we're not where we were then. Definitely not. And I don't think it's because of the government or anything, but because the space has opened up. And we also have to appreciate what information the social medias and the journalists, what they have done. Nowadays, such things cannot happen without being someone recording it and someone calling for action. I think yesterday it was when we confirmed that the file for the officer who shot tear gas canister at journalists has actually been finalized, but has not been forwarded to the ODPP. So we are pushing for that, so that action can be taken. If it was 20 years ago, you wouldn't have no idea if there's even a file in the first place. So we've made huge steps forward, and this is what I always tell the Gen Zs, because they keep saying, "Oh, nyinyi, the generation wale wengine." We are where we are because of the efforts of our grandfathers, the Pio Gama Pintos, wenye waliuliwa, the first martyr, they say, in Kenya, because they wanted to defend the country, and they said no. The likes of anaitwa nani, ni JK ama ni nani? JM. JM in the 70s. You know, we've had very many people who stood firmly. Kina Willy Mutunga, who were incarcerated for years, Kina Haminwa, you know, Kina Koigi, exile. They contributed all the way to 90s, Kina Orengo and Kivutha Kibwana, the NCEC team, Davinda Lamba, and you know, so where we are today, we are here because everyone, every generation played a role in opening up the civic space so that today now we can go out to the streets in thousands, you know, and say, reject the finance bill. Yeah. It's a collective effort. It's not one generation. Everyone contributed to it.
There was a big moment in August 2010 when we promulgated a new constitution. And in that constitution, there were several things that were, you know, world first.
Yep.
A Bill of Rights that is detailed on exactly what every Kenyan is entitled to.
Correct.
As a right enshrined in the constitution. Institutions that were created in the constitution that were supposed now to, in fact, even disperse power. Because we said we want to decentralize power.
Yep.
Let's have power via institutions and administration via institutions. We created those institutions to, you know, make sure that the human rights are defended. The Kenyan National Commission on Human Rights.
Correct.
We've got a Gender and Equality Commission.
Yes.
We've got the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. When it comes to government and how government is treating you, you've got the Commission on Administration of Justice. All those are there. Have they worked?
I think to an extent, yes, they've worked. I mean, you don't want to throw the water out with the bucket. So, yes, we have made strides. I mean, if we don't appreciate, if we don't acknowledge what has been achieved, then we will not be true to ourselves. You can't compare Kenya and Uganda, just giving an example, or Tanzania, or any country within our region. You know, we are miles ahead. And I think, as you correctly put it, the Constitution of Kenya 2010 has been key to the successes we've enjoyed. Even when they violate our rights, we know that they're doing that. You know, before the Constitution, it was like, we know these are our rights, but they're not provided anywhere. So the Constitution, I think, I know Article 19.1, it says the Bill of Rights is an integral part of Kenya's democratic state and is the framework for social, economic, and cultural policies.
It's a framework.
It's the framework. It ought to be the framework for social, economic, and cultural policies. So any policy that we put out there, because the framers of the Constitution understood our history, where we came from, detention without trial, the Nyayo torture chambers, and all these things. So the Constitution then had Chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, as the biggest chapter. It's not about sovereignty. The biggest chapter is not about the presidency or the judiciary or the three arms of government. The biggest chapter in the Constitution is Chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, because we appreciate where we come from. And it's very clear, you know, clearly spelled out in 19.1 that it is the framework of all policies, social, economic, and cultural. But more importantly, Article 2 gives us the purpose why we need to recognize and protect human rights. And Article 19.2 says, the purpose of recognizing and protecting human rights and fundamental freedoms is to preserve the dignity of individuals and communities and to promote social justice and the realization of the potential of all human beings. So the Constitution is very clear why we must protect and promote human rights. And it tells us it is to preserve the dignity. Kiswahili tutasema ni utu. I am who I am because I have my rights, that I can enjoy my rights. That if you take away my rights, you know, you are making me equal to animals out there, that I don't deserve to be there. And to promote social justice. You know, it's not just justice in court and all that, but it's social justice. Why are we, you know, demolishing homes of individuals who are out there in Mathare? You know, why are we not protecting our communities? Why are we not, you know, living fairly? The proceeds of development, why are they only shared by a certain few, you know? And more importantly, the realization of the potential of all human beings. That tomorrow I want to be a journalist.
Yep.
and I have the right to education. I have access to that. This university, I don't know, whatever is happening out there, it defeats the purpose, So it is basically to ensure that everyone is able to realize their potential. So that is explicitly presented in the Constitution, and Kenyans need to know that.
Let's take a break. 27 minutes to 10. Our guest this morning is one of the nominees for this year's Human Rights Defenders Awards. The award ceremony is taking place on the 29th of November. That's next week on Friday. Hussein Khalid, CEO of Vocal Africa, is our guest. Ndu?
Yes.
We're giving away 25,000 shillings into somebody's Stanbic account.
Yes.
Okay.
There are many things about the Stanbic account that you can imagine that you can do. You can bank easily, live joyfully, you can create a legacy, and you can invest wisely. So tell us how one of or all of those elements can or will have affected how you operate with your Stanbic account. And it could be you that wins 25,000 shillings this Friday, getting into the weekend.
Like that.
Just like that.
We'll be back shortly.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. 102.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. The weather with Spice FM.
Cloudy conditions and still a bit of a drizzle in Nairobi. We'll see highs of 26 and lows of 16. Highs of 25 and lows of 15 in a mostly cloudy Nakuru. And highs of 24 and lows of 15 in a cloudy Nyeri at 20. It's 19 and mostly sunny in Eldoret. Highs of 24 and lows of 13. And we're looking into a sunny Mombasa at 30, going to highs of 32. We'll also see highs of 32 in a mostly sunny Malindi at 30. At 25, Kisumu is sunny with highs of 29, and at 24, it's sunny in Kakamega, going to highs of 28 and lows of 15. Mostly sunny at 23 in Kampala with highs of 27, while Dar es Salaam at 29 is sunny. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 25. Looking into Johannesburg at 22, sunny with highs of 29 and lows of 17, while Mogadishu at 30 is sunny. We'll see highs of 32 and lows of 25. Into a sunny Addis Ababa at 18, we'll see highs of 22 and lows of 10. While now Lagos skies have 26 degrees, highs of 33, and it's a hazy morning now. Partly sunny at 24 in Kinshasa with highs of 32. 15 and sunny in Beijing Wednesday afternoon, highs of 15 and lows of 3. Paris at 2 degrees, we'll see highs of 7 and lows of 1. It's bang on 0 in London, highs of 6, and 0 will be the low, and round things out to New York, where it's cloudy at 12. Coming into Wednesday, highs of 15 and lows of 10.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Please repeat once again where the 25,000 shillings is going this Friday.
It will go into your Stanbic account. So guess what you can do? You can even today, go and open a Stanbic account. And you know what? Remember what they told us? You can actually do it from the comfort of your mobile phone. Open your account, even take a picture. And then you can, set up your account right there and then load it, start to do things, invest wisely. You can bank easily. You can live joyfully, and you can also leave a lasting legacy. Do all of those things. And then you know what you could do beyond that. Tell us how you've used one of these elements to start to benefit, or think about how you can benefit from your Stanbic account. And we'll do what? 25,000 shillings give to you from Friday.
Hivo too.
Hivo.
Very good. Very good. So Hussein, as we continue talking about, defending the Constitution, defending human rights, and people getting to know and to understand their rights as clearly spelled out in the Constitution, one of the things that you have to ask yourself, do people understand these things? It's been 14 years since this thing is in the letter of the Constitution, the supreme law of the land. Do the citizens know their rights?
I think in spirit, to a majority of Kenyans understand that they have rights. Social media has really helped. Of course, journalists have also come out very strongly in defense of the Constitution and doing massive public education on the Constitution and human rights in general. So I would say a large percentage of our population have a good understanding of human rights. For example, the right to demonstrate which is under Article 37 of the Constitution of Kenya. They appreciate that, if they feel aggrieved, if they feel dissatisfied with the way things are, they have a right to air, their disappointment and share with others how they feel. But the letter, because there's the spirit and there's the letter. So in terms of the letter, I think we still have a lot to do. In terms of letting them know, for instance, it is this article, it is this chapter in the Constitution, or it is this particular law, the Public Order Act, that administers public activities. So, and that is not very, very worrying, because not everyone is a lawyer. You don't expect everyone to know every detail, but at least if they understand that they have these rights, then it's a good step. And we feel that where we have we've reached right now, we have that what we can call critical mass to push forward with the reforms in this country. And that's why we are now mobilizing as much as we can, telling people we need to come out, you need to stand forward, you need to say no to these excesses that are happening in government. And hopefully that will realize change in our times, maybe. And we can then enjoy, a free and a democratic country that we all love, that is Kenya.
Who has the responsibility to create awareness among the people?
The responsibility falls on everyone, to be honest. There's no one individual person or one sector that, is charged with the responsibility of public education or maybe defending the Constitution. As a matter of fact, the Constitution I believe it's Article 3, Article 3 of the Constitution, it says, Article 3.1, every person has an obligation to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. Every person. It didn't say every state organ or every civil society actor or every journalist. It says every person. Actually, that means it even extends to beyond Kenyans, because you could have people in this country who are living with us, but they may not necessarily be Kenyans. Yeah. So it says every person has that obligation to respect, uphold, and defend the Constitution. And in defending the Constitution, the Constitution includes Chapter 4, the Bill of Rights, So we have a duty and an obligation that is given to us by the Constitution to make sure that we uphold human rights, that we uphold the tenets of the Constitution, and that we abide by it.
Okay. That is upholding and adhering to and observing. I'm asking about teaching. Who has the responsibility for civic education and civic awareness about the rights? Is there any institution, any organ?
Yeah, Latiff, that's what I'm saying. I mean, of course, you can point out and say there are certain individuals, there are certain sectors that have taken that responsibility of doing that. Civil society, for one. But, I mean, the media fraternity, they have a responsibility, like a program like this today at SpiceFM. Basically, we are letting people understand what the Constitution is about and teaching people, not teaching actually, but sharing with people out there. So yes, there are certain sectors that perhaps might have more responsibility, but it's still each and every one of us who has that obligation to share information about the Constitution, to teach about the Constitution, and to make sure people are conforming to the principles and ideals of the Constitution. But yes, I agree. We have civil society, we have media, we have the state that also has the obligation. We have the ministries and others who are charged with, making sure things are okay within communities. So, yeah. But in a nutshell, it's all of us.
What can happen? Because, look, there's the Constitution, Khalid, and we talked about this maybe in the hour before you came. And looking at what at the very least, let it be a guiding light in terms of what you're supposed to do, whether you're in a position of leadership, governance, or whether you are are a citizen not involved in leadership.
Yes.
You know, but at the very least, everybody is involved in nationhood, nation building, nation management, and maintenance.
Correct.
Everybody's involved in that.
Correct.
So the Constitution should then serve as a guiding light. Now, if we can imagine that you put that aside, which I don't believe that you should live in a nation aside of the supreme law.
Yes.
But if we can park that for a moment and talk about some of, or even look at some of the issues that we struggle with today, for which a lot of your work has been involved in, that there are still very many instances where folks operate outside of the provisions of the Constitution. And we can call it criminal, we can call it breaking the law, whatever it is. But that existence is outside of what the provision of the Constitution has mandated. So when we talk about abductions, when we talk about atrocities, when we talk about extrajudicial killings, when we talk about the disappearances of people, just let's talk about from the last 5 months, right? How is it that someone can govern, or people can govern over a nation, and these things are happening in broad daylight?
Exactly.
And we still say that there is an abiding by the Constitution. It befuddles me. I don't get it.
There's absolutely zero abiding by the Constitution. And you know what makes it even worse? The Constitution itself obligates the state to ensure human rights. You know, when you go to police organizations, nyinyi watu wa human rights.
You guys.
Nyinyi watu wa human rights. And the Constitution has squarely placed that responsibility on the state. Article 21(1), it is a fundamental duty, not a duty, a fundamental duty of the state and every state organ. They could have said the state, because of course it includes, but for emphasis, so police wasiseme haikusema sisi, of the state and every state organ to observe, respect, protect, promote and fulfill the rights and fundamental freedoms in the Bill of Rights. That is in the Constitution. It's not just a duty, it is a fundamental. They've been told you have 1,000 duties, and then there are those fundamental duties. So your fundamental duty as a state and every state organ is to defend the Bill of Rights. Sasa hapa hata haikusema the Constitution. It was specific to the Bill of Rights. So kama wewe ni polisi, hata kama wewe ni KBC, that's a state entity. Hata kama wewe ni ministry, wewe ni, I don't know, a government dispensary, it is a fundamental duty the Constitution has placed on you. So it really baffles, as you say it, when those state organs zenye zimekuwa obligated to actually defend the Bill of Rights, they are the ones that are outrightly violating those rights. Extrajudicial killings. You have a responsibility as IPOA, for example. Those pictures and videos, the good thing about Gen Zs is they don't just talk. They give you evidence. They even do the work for you. Wanakuambia huyu ni fulani, hata mtoto wake anasoma shule hii, ako class 4, mwalimu wake anaitwa hivi, huyo mwalimu wake bwana yake ndio huyu. If you know, they give you everything. And not a single officer has been held to account. 61 lives lost in the minimum, at least the ones we were present, tuko na postmortem reports zao, tuko na burial permits, the ones we can say for sure were killed. 61. But I'm sure there are many others. You know, people were afraid those days even to say mtu wangu ameuliwa kwa maandamano, because they were fearful the police will come for them. Nyinyi ni watu wa maandamano. So there are many others who are just buried. Muslims, for example, they need to bury immediately. Wanajua wakipiga report mwili itachukuliwa, sijui postmortem, sijui nini. So there are many others out there. But the president, the best he can say is, mimi sijui, kama mtu ako na list anipatie. And you are the leader of the state. You are supposed to be a good example. Now you are the inspector general, acting inspector general, unaitwa kotini to come and explain a disappearance. 7 times. 7 times you are being summoned. I mean, what kind of a government do we have in place that does not respect the Constitution? And when people say we want change, you start saying, oh, sijui watu wetu, huyu Reverend Bishop ameongea hivi ni kabila hii, mbona hawakuongea? I mean, we have to change this country, and these are the reasons why we are saying that change must come.
Are you saying that the change has not come?
The change has not yet fully been realized. That's what I say. If we were there, we wouldn't see these disappearances happening. I mean, we were just discussing Kenya is supposed to be a safe haven for people who are running away from. Sasa tunaambiwa Kiza Besigye probably was abducted. The Turkish guys, the Ethiopian Tekle Michael. You know, Kenyan forces, Kenyan security agencies are aiding rogue governments in arresting critics who are demanding change in their countries. People come to Kenya because they think, oh, look at these guys, they are protesting, they are able to speak out, and our image is like up there internationally. And people are rushing here because they feel they will get the support, that they will have their comrades, that they will stand firmly together to bring change in Africa, in the world. And then our government goes and arrests, and then I don't know, NPS justifies and says, oh, najua sijui ni serikali. A lot of crap. Seriously. I mean, we have to be serious about what's happening in this country. And we can't just keep quiet.
There's something that must be said along the same lines of what you're saying about where we are in terms of human rights compared to the other. The examples we compare ourselves with, we shouldn't actually, because they're bad examples.
Yeah, agreed.
The beauty, inadvertently, I hear I'm speaking, this is tongue in cheek here, the fact that you have this pushback from people in authority who seem doggedly determined to abrogate the constitution. Determined. It's like they will find ways around it, and even go to the point of even changing the laws within Parliament. I think the thing that it does for us, at least in my mind, that is the best that could happen.
Yeah.
We see with clarity the sort of leaders we have. With clarity. There's no ifs and buts and pretenses. You see. That's number one.
Correct.
Number two, you also understand how the constitution works. How? Because you can see it being abrogated. If, as you gave the example, a high court can issue a warrant, a summons, rather, not a warrant, and somebody whose duty, whose office is actually to uphold, that's what they do. His job is to oversee the observance of the law.
Yes.
Goes against it blatantly. Now, the lessons that are inherent there are many. And it brings to the fore just the level of disregard that those who are in leadership, because someone doesn't do that unless they know nothing will happen to me.
Impunity.
Yes. So it tells you, now, we have a duty ourselves. Do we want to put up with this any longer? Because if something that concerns you, the citizenry, is being treated in such a callous manner, it means it is you, the citizenry, who's being treated in that manner.
Exactly.
Now, is this something you're willing to put up with?
Definitely not. And that's why change must come. The law makes us equal. If others feel they're above the law, wewe mwenyewe kazi yako, you operate through summons. You summon people to come to you.
Yes, you do.
To get statements, that's your job. And you are being summoned and you refuse to go. And what has happened to that guy?
He's the boss.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I mean, you think this is a problem. There's a guy in Nakuru who led thugs. Yes, he's a police officer to go into War Memorial Hospital and remove patients who are in beds. I mean, that one for me took people who are sick. You are removing them from their beds
and taking them where?
No, getting them out.
Getting them out of the hospital. You don't care where they go.
What?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really?
He was
How come I didn't see that?
He was summoned by the court.
Remember them War Memorial?
Yeah.
He was summoned. He also refused to go. You look at that and you wonder, what on earth are we seeing here?
I mean, that's just...
It's just going to the extremes.
Yeah.
When I was asking about who bears the responsibility to educate the citizens about the Constitution and particularly the Bill of Rights is because many times when you think about rights, we look at rights from that historical perspective of what has been amplified before, in terms of state excesses, particularly in the enforcement of law and order, right? Arbitrary arrests, executions, kidnappings, abductions, and all those, and this and the other. But then we forget all these other rights that are contained in the Constitution. For example, the economic and social rights. And today we were talking, yesterday was World Toilet Day. How many people in this country, in Nairobi alone, don't have access to toilet facilities? It's a right in the Constitution. It's enshrined in the Constitution. We have signed SDGs. It's SDG number 6.
It's Article 43 actually in the Constitution.
Yes. We shall ensure people have access to sanitation and water by 2030. We are getting closer. We don't have that. If you think about the right to education, every child in this Kenya has a right to basic education. How many children are actually enjoying the right to basic education? Was it yesterday again? We were reviewing a story in the Standard where 20% and above of those that sit KCPE do not end up in Form 4. Over 200,000 of those that sit KCPE do not end up in KCSE.
I thought they said the transition
is 100%.
It's 100%. It's just the same way that education is free.
So there's a 100% transition.
School?
What happens to 200,000 in those 4 years into fourth form? What has happened to their right to basic education?
And what happened?
We don't talk about that.
What happened to free education?
We talk about right now the transition into CBC. Grade 7s spent an entire term last year without learning. They are going into grade 9. How do we know
who makes up for that?
The kind of what happened to their right to basic education, right to accessing healthcare services? We don't even amplify those ones loudly enough. Right to a clean and safe environment. All these things are also other rights that are constitutionally guaranteed in the Constitution. But, they just appear like, it's one of those things. It's a government to see that you can get a right to representation. There are people who have gone for 2.5 years without representation in the National Assembly or in the County Assembly.
Right to have your case heard in court. There are people who are on remand.
Access to justice.
Access to justice. It's
Article
a right.
48,
There are people who've been on remand. No hearing, no charge.
Essentially, you've been forgotten.
You've been forgotten.
I was at industrial area remand prison yesterday. There's someone who's been there for 9 years. Remand. 9 years. Remand. Can you imagine that on remand? And this is what we're saying. You see, an autocracy perpetuates impunity. So the police don't feel like they have to abide by the law. They don't feel like this is the court. I'll be jailed if I don't, respond to the summons. They know the person who is, me, the president is okay. I've talked to him. I don't need to go. Then you don't care. These are clear signs of an autocracy. If it's a democracy is governed by law. The law makes us all equal. No one is above the law, and we all respect the law. That's why law becomes extremely important, because whatever I get, he gets, she gets, and we are all the same. But ikiwa wewe unaona mimi regime policing, we don't respond to the law. We respond to an individual. Mwenye ametutuma, mwenye anatuambia. So nyinyi wengine, whatever you will say, however you will do it, shauri yenu. Mimi, as long as this guy, I'm okay with him. We can't use swear words and stuff like that. But hizo zingine zote kaeni kando. That is a very dangerous trend. And yes, we acknowledge, and I agree with you that you can't compare yourself with. You have to compare yourself with the best.
Yes.
And Sisi, we are far from the best. We are far from the best, and we need to do quite a lot. Particularly, kuna, sectors kama za politics, sectors za security. We are doing extremely poorly. Socio-economic, Article 43 of the Constitution. Kenyans, do they even know you have a right to emergency medical treatment? Leo hii ukikatwa bleeding profusely, ukimbia kwa hospitali wanakwambia deposit. Kwanza sijui ufanye hivi. I think it's Papa Shirandula who died akiwa anangoja kukua taken to hospital because the family at that time just rushed him to hospital siku za COVID. And these are basic rights, as you say. Basic rights, emergency medical treatment. Any hospital being put up should be able to address that. But it's not there. So I agree that we still have a lot of work to do. That's why we cannot relent.
Khalid, I feel very strongly that there's a power in speaking out some of these
Definitely.
things. I think the weakness lies in the apathy and keeping quiet. I think there's power untold in raising voices over these things over and over and over again until it takes on a sickly nature. However, who sets the tone? And I think it sounds like a really obvious question or even an obvious answer. But there has to be somebody setting the rhythm for some of these things to be done and done right. Who is that?
I think when it comes to human rights, it's clear. It should be the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, who are releasing, I think, a report today, if I'm not wrong, the state of human rights in the country. I think I saw something like that they would be doing that. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights is supposed to guide that discussion. But we know what is happening with most of these commissions, Latiff, that you mentioned. They're only getting administration costs, their salaries. They have zero money to do their work because they're funded by the state. So what the state wants to do is to tell people, go to IPOA. But IPOA can't even go to town, from their office to town. They're given money, salary, you're given rent so that you are there. But to go out and do the work, zero funds for programs. The same for the Kenya Human Rights Commission and others. You're just supposed to exist. You are there and people can be referred
so they
to
can
you.
say there's a commission.
Yes, but see kazi yetu, there's IPOA, ni kazi yao, they're investigating and all that. And this is what we're saying. I mean, things have to change. Things have to change. I'm very proud of the Gen Zs, what they've done, and they've showed people that actually we can demand for change and it can come. And we need to do more. And this time round, I believe it's everyone. It's Gen zote. Kuanzia ile ya kwanza hata sijui ilikuwa inaitwa aje, naambiwa zilianza 1920s sijui to what, I don't know, they're called boomers or I don't know what, but now we have to speak out. And I'm glad people like Khalef Khalifa, people like Willy Mutunga, I think I saw Kabando, you know, the older generation, hata wao wanasema we are joining in this discussion. It has to be all of us.
Kabando yuko kwa hiyo age, usimgeshe sana.
Sasa
Kabando is younger than CT.
I mean your benchmark.
Akina Khaminwa.
Hussein Khalid, thank you very much for joining us.
You.
Hussein Khalid, the CEO of Vocal Africa and a nominee for next week's Human Rights Defenders Awards. Thank you for tuning in to Kenya's biggest conversation. We always enjoy your presence. See you again tomorrow.
Asante sana. Yeah.